Chapter 1198, Crimson Cloud Valley. Sulian gritted her teeth in anger, but she also knew that Deputy Dean Xiao and Deputy Dean Yin were not on good terms. When my fourth grandfather becomes the dean, all of you will not have a good ending. Deputy Dean Xiao continued, although the illusion just now was not included in your assessment results, I am extremely disappointed in your performance. Not only did you not have the ability to respond to danger, but you were also timid and cowardly. You framed your classmates, and there were even some who were prepared to sacrifice their classmates to save their own lives. This kind of character is really despicable. You all should take care of yourselves. Even if such a character gains power for a moment, you will be punished sooner or later. After saying that, Deputy Dean Xiao flicked his sleeves and left. The rest of the teachers shook their heads and left as well. The qualifications of this batch of students were indeed much worse than the previous ones. The students were all dumbstruck. Although some of them didn't think much of it, most of them still felt ashamed. When they thought of their previous performance, they couldn't help but feel ashamed and self-reproach. Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered with them. She found a corner and sat down, continuing to meditate and cultivate. After coming out of the trial tower, Yun Chujio's desire to become stronger became even stronger. In her previous life she had implicated Chi-Chi, but in this life, she had to become stronger. If Chi-Chi also transmigrated, then she would be able to protect Chi-Chi. A day later, the spaceship finally arrived at Crimson Cloud Valley. Crimson Cloud Valley was named after the unique crimson cloud grass. From afar it looked like a brilliant cloud. Crimson Cloud Valley had been isolated by the Tian Yuan Academy's array formation into a large area. The demon beasts inside were all below level 19, so after these students entered, their lives were basically not in danger. Deputy Dean Xiao said, your mission this time is to obtain the demonic beast's inner cores and spirit herbs. The demonic beasts and spirit herbs of different levels have different points, and the students ranked last in the 50th place will be eliminated. The duration of this competition is half a month. After half a month you will return the same way you came. If you exceed the time limit and do not return, your result will be 0. In addition, the talisman seal inside the Scarlet Cloud Valley is ineffective, so don't take any chances. You think that with the talisman seal you can take advantage of it. Also, flying is forbidden inside. Do you understand? Everyone nodded in agreement. Only then did Deputy Dean Xiao open a gap in the formation and let everyone in. Everyone walked in groups of 3 or 5. Only the Huang class members followed closely behind Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio felt that although this showed her cohesiveness, it was also very easy for them to develop a sense of dependence. Hence she said, according to the group, the trial will be carried out. We will gather here the day before the trial ends. Everyone pay attention to your safety and take action on your own. Although everyone felt a little uncertain about leaving Yun Chujio, they could only scatter according to the group. Yun Chujio naturally followed Feng Ming's 10th group. The members of the 10th group instantly felt confident. Damn, they were really lucky to be in the same group as the class monitor. This way they would definitely not be eliminated. They did not feel that there was anything wrong with relying on a little girl from the 2nd level of the spirit sect. Although this Crimson Cloud Valley was only a part of the encirclement, it was still very big. In the beginning they could still meet other students, but soon the group dispersed. The deeper they went, the more demonic beasts they encountered. Every time a demonic beast came, Yun Chujio would hide to the side and then chew on the spirit fruit to watch the group fight. The people from the 10th group were about to cry. They originally thought that following the class monitor was a good thing, but now it seemed that it was useless. Other than asking them to cook for her and help her guard up, the class monitor only occasionally cheered for them. So it turned out that they were raising an ancestor. Chapter 1199. For the next few days, everything went smoothly. After the battle, the tacit understanding between everyone was getting better and better. Moreover, their confidence was also getting stronger and stronger. Everyone's harvest was also quite plentiful. On the 8th day, everyone arrived near a mountain stream. Junior sister Little Nine, look. There's actually a piece of earth-grade high-grade beaded jade flower over there. These are all points. Everyone looked in the direction that Feng Ming was pointing at. Sure enough, there was a stretch of red in the distance. It really was a jade pearl flower. Everyone immediately cheered. Yun Chujio stopped everyone from rushing forward rashly. There must be a powerful companion beast next to such a spirit herb. Everyone be careful. Yun Chujio picked up a stone and threw it over. The scene that she saw caused everyone's back to feel a cold breeze. Fortunately, they didn't rush forward rashly. Otherwise, they would be dead for sure. They saw dozens of scarlet twin-tailed serpents jumping out from the jade flowers. The scarlet twin-tailed serpents were demonic beasts of the 19th level, and they were extremely poisonous. If they had rushed forward rashly just now, they would have been dead by now. Most of these people were at the 5th level of the spirit sect. Feng Ming and the other two were only at the 2nd level of the spirit sect, while the scarlet twin-tailed serpents were equivalent to human cultivators at the 7th level of the spirit sect. If both sides fought, the result would be obvious. Junior sister Little Geo, let's retreat. These scarlet multicolored twin-tailed snakes are really hard to deal with, Feng Ming said in a low voice. Yun Chujio nodded. She herself wasn't afraid of poison, but the others weren't. If they were really bitten, their lives would be in danger. Thus, the group headed in another direction. They never imagined that they would actually be blocked by 20 masked men. Yun Chujio stays behind. The rest can leave. Otherwise, none of them will be left behind, the leader of the masked men said in a hoarse voice. Yun Chujio realized that she couldn't see through the other party's cultivation. This meant that the other party was at least at the 9th layer of the spirit sect, and they were probably all at the level of a spirit saint. The people from the 10th group immediately panicked. Wasn't Crimson Cloud Valley already blocked by the Academy's array formation? Why would a masked man come in and take the class monitor's life? Yun Chujio's heart stirred. These people were probably related to the Yin family. As the Academy's deputy dean Yin, it wouldn't be a problem for him to tamper with the array formation. Moreover, the Yin family was most famous for its array formation. Cracking the Academy's protective array formation was a piece of cake. Feng Ming, bring them to another place to continue the trial. I'll send them off before coming to look for you, Yun Chujio said indifferently. Feng Ming was anxious. Junior sister Little Geo, what are you talking about? How could we leave you behind? The people from the 10th group also said, Class monitor, we're not cowards. At worst, we'll just fight them. Yun Chujio waved her hand and said to Feng Ming, Senior brother Feng Ming, think about what happened in the ancient mine. If you stay, you will only drag me down. You can go. Hearing Yun Chujio's words, Feng Ming's heart was moved. Yes, junior sister Little Geo had many secrets. If they were here, perhaps she would not be able to use her full strength. They might as well hurry back to the exit and ask Teacher Xiao and the others for help. Feng Ming thought of this and nodded. All right, junior sister Little Geo, you be careful. Let's go. Although the people from the 10th group didn't understand why Feng Ming had changed his mind, they could only follow Feng Ming and leave. After Feng Ming and the others had gone far away, Yun Chujio said to the masked men, You are from the Yin family, right? Deputy Dean Yin should have sent you here, right? Do you need to be so arrogant to deal with a 2nd-level spirit sect disciple like me? Chapter 1200 was not something that could be returned just because you wanted to. The leader of the masked men snorted coldly. Although we don't understand why we need so many of us to kill a little trash like you, it's still safe. Do you want to slit your own throat or do you want us to do it? Yun Chujio sighed. Is there no room for discussion? Do you have to kill me? Cut the crap, you have to die today. Go kill him. The leader of the masked men waved his hand, and one of the masked men raised his sword and stabbed at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio dodged the attack from the other man. The man was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect this little trash to be so fast. He stabbed Yun Chujio a few more times and Yun Chujio dodged it. She had a rough estimation in her heart. This man's spiritual power level was only around the 9th layer of the spirit sect. In that case, she would kill him first to vent her anger. When Yun Chujio thought of this, she threw several small purple needles at the masked man. When the man saw that Yun Chujio's spiritual power was actually a needle, he could not help but laugh out loud. Stinky girl, with your weak spiritual power attack, you still want to fight with me? You really overestimate yourself. The masked man wanted to humiliate Yun Chujio, but he actually used his hand to pinch the small purple needles, wanting to pinch the needles in his hand. Needless to say, he actually really pinched a few small purple needles on his fingers. Stupid girl, I'll return it to you. Just as the masked man was about to throw the small purple needles back to Yun Chujio, the small purple needles exploded. The masked man's entire arm was blown away, not to mention his hand. Yun Chujio naturally would not let go of such an opportunity. She hit the man's head with a rolling pin and the man died on the spot. Yun Chujio pouted. Are you pretending? Why aren't you pretending? Return it to me? Are you going to return my things if you want to? The rest of the masked men were stunned. They didn't even see what was going on when their companion turned into a corpse. Wasn't this little girl only at the second level of the spirit sect? How could she kill their people in such a short time? The leader of the masked men said viciously, "What a waste. She can't even defeat a waste at the second level of the spirit sect. You go." As the leader of the masked men said that, a masked man directly attacked Yun Chujio. His spiritual power materialized into an eagle formed by wind blades and fiercely pounced on Yun Chujio. After Yun Chujio dodged the attack, she said with some surprise, "Oh, is your spiritual power materialized into a little chick? It's really weak." That man was so angry that he almost died. "My spiritual power is an eagle, what kind of bullshit little chick is it?" The man once again launched his spiritual power attack. This time Yun Chujio directly shot a few purple needles at the eagle. After Yun Chujio shot the purple needles, she actually did not dodge but stood there foolishly. The man sneered contemptuously. This little girl was just lucky just now. Did she really think that she was so amazing? She actually wanted to fight head-on with his spiritual power attack? Just her small broken needles would not have any effect on his spiritual attack at all. Why was she still foolishly not dodging? She was just waiting to die. The man was very confident that his eagle could block Yun Chujio's small purple needles, so he did not dodge. He stood there with a disdainful look on his face. At this moment a brilliant light flashed. The man thought that his eagle must have killed Yun Chujio. Just as he was feeling extremely proud, several small needles shot into his head. Followed by a loud sound, the man's body fell to the ground. Chapter 12:01 Escape. At this moment, the masked men were no longer careless. The first time was a coincidence, and the second time was a sign that the little girl was indeed a little strange. No wonder the higher-ups had sent so many of us to kill her. The leader of the masked men laughed sinisterly. "Stinky girl, you do have some skills, but you still have to die today. Everyone attack together, don't let this stinky girl escape." Yun Chujio was not stupid. She was just lucky that she could kill those two people just now. If she didn't run now, when would she do it? Yun Chujio was confident that although her spiritual power level was not as high as theirs, her running speed was still okay. However, she never expected that another group of masked men would appear in front of her. They were waiting for her with a cold smile. The masked men behind her also caught up. "Stinky girl, why don't you run? Fortunately, the higher-ups have strategized and know that you are unusually cunning. Let's see where you will run to this time." The masked men on both sides gradually approached. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth. There was only one path left now, and that was the direction of the pearl and jade flower. Although there were dozens of scarlet twin-tailed snakes there, I wasn't afraid of poison. At most I would be bitten by them a few times. Although these masked men could kill those snakes, they would also be stopped. At that time I would be able to find a place to hide. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio ran in the direction of the jade flower. The masked men on both sides merged into one and chased after her. From afar they could see Yun Chujio rushing towards the jade flower. One of the masked men laughed and said, "I'm afraid that stupid girl doesn't know that there is a nest of scarlet twin-tailed snakes in the jade flower. She is going to die, which saves us the trouble of fighting her." Everyone laughed in agreement. "This little girl has been forced into a corner by us. She's actually seeking her own death." Yun Chujio heard the laughter behind her and sneered in her heart. Laugh. "Do you think that I'm stupid? You won't be able to laugh in a while." Just as Yun Chujio ran to the side of the jade flower bush, those scarlet twin-tailed snakes jumped out and pounced fiercely at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio held up her spiritual energy shield. Although she wouldn't be able to hold on for long, it was still good to be bitten less. Seeing this, the masked man thought in disdain, how strong does this little girl think her spiritual energy is? Her spiritual energy shield would be corroded by the poison in a short while. Sure enough, in less than 15 minutes, Yun Chujio's spiritual energy shield was corroded. Although she ran with all her might, she was still bitten by a few snakes, but she still rushed past the jade flowers. "Boss, should we chase after her?" That little girl was bitten by the crimson twin-tailed snakes several times. He probably won't survive. Although the chances of her surviving aren't high, for the sake of safety, let's chase after her, said the masked leader. Upon hearing his words, everyone could only rush to the front and fight with the crimson twin-tailed snakes. In the end, a few people died. Some of the masked men felt that it was unnecessary. That little girl wouldn't be able to survive at all. Why chase after her? This time they even lost a few of their brothers. However, they did not find Yun Chujie's body after chasing her for a long time. Could it be that the little girl was not dead? The leader of the masked men frowned. Search. She can't have gone far. She must be nearby. If we don't kill her this time, the higher-ups will not let us off. The masked men thought of the viciousness of the higher-ups and immediately trembled. They tried their best to search, but they could not find Yun Chujie after searching for a long time. It was as if Yun Chujie had disappeared into thin air. Chapter 1202 The Big Coffin Boss. Even if this person is dead, there should still be a corpse. Why is it gone? We can't use a concealment talisman here. Where did she go? The masked leader was also puzzled. He had searched everywhere he could, but there was still no trace of that smelly girl. How could this person disappear into thin air? He suddenly looked at the bottom of the cliff. Could it be that the girl had died of poison and fell to the bottom of the cliff? He walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down, but he could not see anything in the clouds. He gritted his teeth. Let's split into two groups. Half of us will continue to search on the top, and the other half will follow me down from the other side to the bottom of the cliff. The girl must have died of poison and fell to the bottom of the cliff. Yun Chujie, who was lying on the cliff wall, heard the masked man who was leading the group and cursed in her heart. But how cunning! She had to think of something. Otherwise, when they reached the bottom and there was no cloud to hide them, they would discover her. Yun Chujie brought Xiao Hei out and let it start to dig a hole on the cliff. When the hole was dug, Yun Chujie hid in it and blocked the hole with the gravel inside the hole. She even pulled a few vines as cover. She looked out through the small gap. The leader of the masked men took a detour to the bottom of the cliff but did not find Yun Chujie's body. He was even more suspicious. Where did this stinky girl go? He really looked at the cliff wall. Other than the vines and sparse herbs, there was no sign of Yun Chujie. Besides, it was forbidden to fly here, so the stinky girl could not be hanging on the cliff wall. The leader of the masked men searched for a while more before leaving in disappointment. Yun Chujie was not in a hurry to go out. Who knew if these people were hiding somewhere waiting for her to walk into their trap? She would stay in this cave. Feng Ming and the others would definitely send a letter to Deputy Dean Xiao and the others. She would only go out when they were in the vicinity. Only then would she be safe. In order to stay in the cave for a long time, Yun Chujie had Xiao Hei expand the cave a little. Xiao Hei dug the cave wide without complaint, and Yun Chujie stayed in the cave. Every day she would eat, sleep and cultivate. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. This fellow was a little bored staying in the cave, so she decided to relax and took out a storybook from her storage ring. She sat on the innermost cliff and read the storybook. When she saw something interesting, she stomped her feet in excitement and then she was miserable. The place where she stomped her feet actually collapsed and Yun Chujie fell straight down. Just as Yun Chujie was about to use the sticky silk to climb up, a white light flashed in front of her eyes and she couldn't see anything. There was only one thought in this fellow's mind. How miserable. When Yun Chujie opened her eyes, she found herself in a cave. The cave was very spacious, but what made her hair stand on end was that there was a large coffin in the middle of the cave. It was pitch black. It looked very creepy. Of course, Yun Chujie didn't want to stay here any longer, but she found that she couldn't find the exit at all. She thought that there must be a formation here. Then she could only find the formation disc. However, where could the formation disc be? Yun Chujie searched the entire cave but could not find the formation disc. She then fixed her gaze on the large coffin. She was afraid that the formation disc was inside the coffin or under it. Although she did not want to touch this thing in order to get out. She could only do it. Chapter 1203. A group attack of remnant souls. Yun Chujie bowed towards the coffin. Senior, I'm really sorry. In order to get out, I could only disturb your body. If you want to take revenge, remember to take revenge on that old bastard Hao. If he didn't send people to chase me, I wouldn't have dug a cave on the cliff. If I didn't dig a cave on the cliff, I wouldn't have fallen into this place. Naturally, I would not offend you. Therefore, the main culprit is that old bastard Hao. Just as Yun Chujie was muttering to herself, an angry roar came from inside the coffin. Long-winded. Long-winded. You are really too long-winded. Even the dead are angered to death by you. Yun Chujie was so scared that she fell to the ground. Fuck, could it be that there was a living person inside the coffin? At this time the lid of the coffin opened and a person floated out. Yun Chujio felt a little more at ease. This was a remnant soul just like the people in the ancient sword tomb. Yun Chujio immediately said respectfully, "Senior, this junior really had no choice but to move your coffin. Please forgive me." The remnant soul said angrily, "Fuck you. This senior was sleeping well and was woken up by you. How do you think you are going to compensate this senior?" Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. "This old fart, who is your father?" However, this fellow only dared to curse in her heart. This remnant soul was so solid that its cultivation was probably not low. It was better for her to be careful. "Senior, I really barged in by mistake. What compensation do you want? I have a lot of delicious food here. Do you want to eat?" The remnant soul was even more furious. "Stupid girl. Are you trying to anger me? You know I'm a remnant soul, how can I eat? I'm going to strangle you to death." As the remnant soul said that, it pounced towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was also angry. "You old fool, can't we discuss this properly? Are you looking for a beating? I'm still afraid of you, it'll make you completely lose your appetite." The remnant soul was so angry that it was trembling. "You little bastard, when I was alive no one dared to talk to me like that. I'm going to kill you today." Yun Chujio gave him a wicked smile. "Old fart, you must have a treasure here to ensure that the remnant soul doesn't dissipate. Since that's the case, I'll let you see what a group fight is." Yun Chujio took out a few green jade porcelain bottles. Once the cork was removed, Fu Ao and the others floated out of the green jade porcelain bottles. "Uncle, this old fart is bullying me. Beat him down, I want to see how he will show off." The remnant soul was scared silly. Fuck, what was going on? How could this little girl have so many remnant souls? Didn't they say that remnant souls could dissipate easily? His special soul body didn't dissipate. How did she do it? Just as the remnant soul was thinking, Fu Ao and the others pounced on it. Although their spiritual power had decreased greatly, there were too many of them. Soon, the remnant soul was beaten until it cried out in pain. Yun Chujio placed her hands on her waist and was very proud. "Old fart, are you showing off? Why aren't you showing off this time? I spoke nicely to you and you still dare to scold me? You're really tired of living. Do you want to die and live? If you want to die, I'll let them directly disperse you. If you want to live, tell me your identity and background honestly. Also, what treasure did you use to protect your remnant soul?" Although the old man's remnant soul wanted to continue scolding Yun Chujio, he looked at the countless remnant souls around him and became terrified. Old man, I think that person was also a famous figure back then. Who am I? Who am I? Why can't I remember? I am in something." The old man's remnant soul began to tremble violently. It was obvious that he had lost his memory. Chapter 12:04 Natal Puppet. Yun Chujio put her hands on her waist and cursed. "Old man, what are you pretending for? Are you playing amnesia for me? Uncle, beat him up." Fu Ao smiled bitterly and said, "Little girl, he is not pretending. Some remnant souls will slowly lose their memories after a long time. Judging from the clothes that this person conjured, he should be from the same era as us. Tens of thousands of years have passed. It is inevitable that his memory will be lost." "From the same era as you, uncle? Then do you know him? Is there anyone surnamed in your era?" Yun Chujio asked curiously. Fu Ao shook his head. "No, but there was indeed a big family surnamed in our era. However, the family is very mysterious. It is said that the family is proficient in the art of puppets, but they have always been indifferent to fame and fortune. If they entered the human world, they would definitely become famous." "Puppets? Oh right, puppets. Where are my puppets? Where are my puppets? Who has seen my puppets?" The old man's remnant soul began to shout. Fu Ao sighed. "It seems that this person is really a member of the family. I just don't know why he would appear here." Yun Chujio saw that the old man's remnant soul was crazy and could not ask anything. She simply looked into the coffin. There was no corpse in the coffin, only a small person made of an unknown material and a black thing. Yun Chujio felt that the black thing looked familiar, so she picked it up and looked at it. She could not help but laugh. Wasn't this a fragment of the Great Void Mirror? Could it be that this fragment of the Great Void Mirror had the effect of ensuring that the soul would not disperse? "Uncle, can this fragment of the Great Void Mirror ensure that your soul will not disperse?" Yun Chujio asked Fu Ao curiously. Fu Ao shook his head. Although the Great Void Mirror is a divine artifact, I've never heard of it having such an effect. I'm afraid that his remnant soul is related to this little person. If my guess is correct, this should be a life puppet. Life puppet? Yun Chujio felt like she was listening to a heavenly book. So what if it was a puppet? Why was there a life puppet? Life-bound puppet is a secret technique of the Een family. I've only heard of it. Legend has it that after every member of the Een family is born, the elders of the family will use their umbilical cord blood to refine a puppet. Such a puppet is a life-bound puppet. The function of the life-bound puppet is unknown, but the reason why his soul doesn't disperse is probably due to the life-bound puppet, said Fu Ao. Yun Chujio felt that this was too amazing. How could such a small dummy ensure that the soul would not disperse? She did not dare to rashly take the small dummy, but looked at the old man's remnant soul. The old man's remnant soul had already calmed down slightly. He glared at Yun Chujio fiercely. What exactly do you want? Old man, look at what you're saying. It's like I'm a bully who robs people of their women. You wanted to kill me, so I had no choice but to resist, okay? You scared me so much, don't you have to compensate me with something good? Yun Chujio said as she shamelessly put the broken piece of the Great Void Mirror into her storage ring. Didn't you already take the broken piece of the Great Void Mirror? I can't afford to offend you. I admit defeat. I'll send you out and pretend that we've never met before. The old man's remnant soul said angrily. That's easy for you to say. You sent me away with just a fragment? I think that little person is quite exquisite. Why don't you give it to my spiritual pet as a toy? The old man's remnant soul was so angry that it was twitching. I'll fight you to the death. Chapter 1205. I am a kind-hearted person. Yun Chujio looked baffled. You old man, you are so unreasonable. Isn't it just a little dummy? Do you have to fight with me like this? And you even said that you are from the Een family. You are just a little stingy. You know the answer. If it weren't for my natal puppet, I would have lost my soul. The old man's remnant soul said angrily. Ah, so that's how it is. I thought Uncle Fu Ao was playing with me. In that case, I don't need that little dummy. Then I'll take this coffin away. Anyway, it doesn't matter where you sleep as a remnant soul. I think this coffin is not bad. When I go out to practice in the future, I can use it as a bed. Yun Chujio said with a smile. The corners of Fu Ao and the other's eyes twitched violently. This little girl's interests were indeed different from ordinary people. If you sleep in a coffin, won't you panic? When the remnant soul of the old man heard that Yun Chujio was going to take the coffin away, it became even angrier. Don't even think about it. This coffin is my shelter. You're not allowed to take it away. I'm afraid it's not just a shelter, right? There must be a big secret inside. Besides, do you think you have the right to ask me not to take it away? As long as I kill you, all these things are mine. Yun Chujio said very arrogantly. Damn, the feeling of bullying others with power was really great. It was a pity that these remnant souls could not be used outside. Otherwise, I would have tortured those masked men to death long ago. There was no need to hide here and there. The old man's remnant soul kept struggling. However, he was now restrained by many remnant souls. There was no way for him to escape. He gritted his teeth and said, I can teach you the secret art of puppets. Don't touch my things. Yun Chujio was secretly happy. Very well, she had been waiting for this sentence. This guy sighed and said, Old man, I am a very kind person. When Fu Ao and the others heard this sentence, they almost vomited. You can forget it. How many people and beasts did you abduct with this sentence? No, you even abducted thousands of our remnant souls. You're kind. You are simply a little pervert with a black heart. Yun Chujio continued. Although you can't remember what happened in the past, you hid here alone. I'm afraid that you had a story in the past as well, maybe even a deep hatred or something. But can you take revenge by hiding here? Forget about revenge. I'm afraid that it won't be long before you don't remember anything. You also saw that I have a lot of remnant souls around me. Why are they following me? Because I have an ancient green jade porcelain bottle and I am not afraid of being struck by lightning. Most importantly, I will definitely find the Great Void Soul patching formation in their bodies. Why don't you follow me? It is better than waiting here for death. The old man's remnant soul was stunned when he heard this. He did not expect Yun Chujio to make such a request. Although his mind was clear now, the frequency of his madness was increasing. However, he could not rely on his natal puppet to protect his remnant soul. Why don't follow her? Those remnant souls looked like they were from the ancient times. When they were alive, they were probably heroes of their generation. For them to choose this little girl, it meant that this little girl must be extraordinary. Perhaps he had waited for tens of thousands of years just to wait for her? Just as the old man's remnant soul was hesitating, he heard Yun Chujio say, "Forget it. It's not sweet to twist the melon. Since you don't want it, I don't want your puppet technique either. You can send me out." Chapter 1206. Dolly Xiaohei Rat. When the old man heard Yun Chujio's words, he hurriedly said, I'm willing to follow you out." Yun Chujio secretly pursed her lips. It was really easy to coax. Were all the ancient people so simple? Senior, if that's the case, then should I put you into the spirit beast bag? Or into the ancient green jade bottle? If I put you into the ancient green jade bottle, what about the coffin and the little dummy? Besides, how are we going to get out? The old man's remnant soul thought for a moment and said, Since I've decided to follow you, I naturally trust you. Keep the coffin and my natal puppet for me. Just put them into the spirit beast pouch. Put me into the green jade bottle as well. It's best if I'm with them. That way I won't be lonely. After you keep the coffin, the array here will be destroyed, and we will naturally be transported out. Yun Chujio was stunned. She did not expect the old man's remnant soul to trust her so much. It seemed that the people of the ancient times were much more honest than the people of today. Yun Chujio did not stand on ceremony. She put the old man's remnant soul into the green jade bottle and then put the coffin and the little dummy into the spiritual beast bag. Sure enough, just as she put away the coffin, she felt a white light flash. When she opened her eyes again, she was already in a valley. Yun Chujio looked around. She did not know if this place was still in the Crimson Cloud Valley, but there were some crimson cloud grass. When Yun Chujio was looking around, she heard someone scream, "The stinky girl is there. She's really not dead." Yun Chujio turned her head and saw 4 masked men rushing over. Yun Chujio estimated that she should be able to kill them with all her strength. Since that was the case, killing one would result in a loss. Thinking of this, not only did Yun Chujio not run away, but she also rushed towards the 4 people. Her hands kept waving and the small purple needle shot towards the faces of the 4 people. The 4 people had already seen the evil power of Yun Chujio's small purple needle, so they quickly dodged and also launched a spiritual power attack on Yun Chujio at the same time. The spiritual power of the 4 people materialized into animals, wolves, leopards, eagles, and cranes. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Their spiritual power materialized was very suitable for them. They were animals. Stupid girl, I advise you to stop resisting stubbornly. You are no match for the 4 of us. One of them said arrogantly. Yun Chujio did not say anything. She brought out the 3-tailed flaming fox king and Xiaohei. You haven't exercised your limbs for a long time. The 4 of them looked at the spiritual beast that Yun Chujio released with even more disdain. What could a red flame 2-tailed fox and a tailless earth-drilling mouse do? As expected, Trash's spiritual pet was trash as well. After the 3-tailed fox king followed Yun Chujio, it learned to act like a pig to eat a tiger. Therefore it usually pretended to be a red flame 2-tailed fox. The first thing the 3-tailed fox king did when it came out was to roar. Those people were unprepared and their spiritual senses were slightly dazed. Yun Chujio took this opportunity to wave her hands continuously. Several small purple needles stabbed at the 4 people's heads. Although 2 people reacted quickly and dodged, the other 2 people were stabbed directly. Following the explosion of the small purple needles, their heads were blasted into a bloody mess. Although they did not die, after being slapped away by Xiaohei, they fell hundreds of feet away and died. The remaining 2 people were stunned when they saw that Xiaohei could actually slap 2 people hundreds of feet away. Chapter 1207. Kill this little mouse was definitely not an ordinary groundhog. The 2 of them had a greedy look in their eyes. Perhaps this spiritual beast had signed an equal contract. As long as they killed Yun Chujio, it would be theirs. The 2 of them attacked Yun Chujio again. This time they were on guard. The roar of the 3-tailed fox king of Lai Yan had little effect on them. However, the fireball of the 3-tailed fox king of Lai Yan could still help Yun Chujio share some of the burden. Not to mention there was also Xiaohei, who appeared and disappeared underground. One of them was fighting with Yun Chujio when one of his feet suddenly sank into the ground. Then there was a sharp pain. That person finally managed to pull his foot out, but the three-tailed fox king of Lai Yen threw a fireball at him. That person had no choice but to put out the fire in a sorry state, and Xiao Hei's rat claws arrived. The situation immediately became that Yun Chujio was dealing with a masked man, and Xiao Hei and the three-tailed fox king of Lai Yen were dealing with another masked man. In this way Yun Chujio immediately felt a lot more relaxed. Although the spiritual power of the masked man was 2 or 3 levels higher than hers, Yun Chujio's purple needles appeared and disappeared mysteriously. That person was soon defeated and killed by Yun Chujio. The remaining masked man was also tormented by Xiao Hei and Lai Yen. Yun Chujio freed her hands and killed him in a few rounds. Yun Chujio rummaged through the 4 bodies and indeed found the Yin family's token. She sneered, put away the 4 bodies and continued to walk forward. After walking for more than 10 miles she met 4 masked men again. They must have split up into 4 groups to search for Yun Chujio's whereabouts. Yun Chujio used the same trick again and killed the 4 men. At this time the sky was getting dark. Yun Chujio found a cave so she decided to spend the night here. Yun Chujio was afraid of being discovered by the masked men, so she took off the spirit-concealing ring. She did not light a fire and carefully hid her aura. Yun Chujio had a simple dinner and lay on the ground to rest. At this moment the ground trembled slightly. Yun Chujio was shocked. Someone must have come. It was too late for Yun Chujio to go out. Fortunately, there was a protruding rock in the cave and Yun Chujio hid behind the rock. Yun Chujio poked her head out and saw that there were still 4 people who came in. The 4 of them took off their facial scarves, lit a bonfire, took out some food and wine and chatted as they ate. Damn it! I don't know where that stinky girl went. I've been looking for her for a few days but I've never seen her dead or body. What bad luck. Yeah, the boss still insisted on us looking for her. Where can we find her? Maybe she was swallowed by some demon beast so she didn't even leave her body behind. Yun Chujio's heart stirred. She took out the recording stone and continued to listen. Brother Ma, actually I still don't understand. It's just a smelly girl. Is there a need for us, the elites of the Yin family, to deal with her? I heard that that little girl has caused quite a lot of trouble for 4th Elder. There's also the eldest miss, 2nd miss and eldest young master who have all suffered at the hands of that smelly girl. Really fake? Isn't 4th Elder at the level of a spirit paragon? How could he be played around by a little girl at the 2nd level of the spirit sect? That little girl probably has a lot of tricks up her sleeve, and I heard that she's the daughter of the palace master's wife. Naturally she has something to rely on. According to what you said, if we kill that smelly girl, won't the Palace of Longevity cause trouble for our Yin clan? Tisich. What could a daughter of an old friend do to our Yin clan? Although the Palace of Longevity had a special status, our Yin clan didn't give it away for free. Besides, they wouldn't be able to catch any evidence. Didn't the boss say that those people would send a letter back and forth? By the time they arrived it would be at least 3 days later. By then we would have already left. Who would they look for? Oh, that's true. That little girl is quite good looking. If she's not dead it wouldn't be a bad idea to get her to play with. Chapter 1208 continued to kill. Yun Chujio was so angry that she gritted her teeth. I'll let you show off, I'll send you on your way in a while. Yun Chujio found a bottle of pills in her storage ring. It was the sleeping powder that she used to deal with the Crane group. When the 4 of them were almost done drinking, Yun Chujio carefully blew the sleeping powder in their direction. Normally these people would have noticed, but the 4 of them had drunk quite a lot of wine. 3 of them fell to the ground and were fast asleep. The person in charge of guarding the cave was also dozing off. It was not until the cave was filled with the smell of sleeping powder that the person in charge of guarding the cave took a sniff. What was that smell? Not good. Sleeping powder. The person suddenly woke up and quickly kicked the 3 people on the ground. Then he attacked the place where Yun Chujio was hiding with his spiritual power. After Yun Chujio dodged, she shot several small purple needles at the person. At the same time, Yun Chujio released the Xiao Hei rat, Lai Yen and the 3-tailed fox king and started to fight with the masked man. Although the 3 people on the ground also woke up, their combat strength was greatly reduced. Both sides were evenly matched. Yun Chujio was afraid that the longer the night, the more trouble it would bring. She directly summoned 8 immortal swords and stabbed at the masked man. The 4 masked men were simply scared silly. How could one person's spiritual sense command 8 flying swords at the same time? This little girl was really too strange. At this time the three-tailed fox king of Lai Yen also roared. The 4 of them were slightly distracted and 2 of them were injured by Yunchujia's flying swords. 15 minutes later the 4 of them fell to the ground and died. Yunchujia was also so tired that she was panting. I'm still too weak. It's so difficult to deal with 4 little dregs. Yunchujio had just put away the 4 bodies when footsteps came from afar again. Yunchujio could only hide behind the big rock again. Why is there the smell of blood? Could it be that something happened to Ma Ping and the others? Following the voice, another 4 people walked into the cave. Although Yunchujio tried her best to hide her aura, she was too tired just now. Her breathing was inevitably heavy and she was immediately discovered. The 4 people who came in exchanged glances with each other, and they launched a spiritual attack at the place where Yunchujio was hiding. Yunchujio had no choice but to activate the defensive spiritual tool on her body. This fellow was very stingy. The defensive spiritual tool on her body was simply more than the Tianyuan Academy's treasure vault. But this fellow just couldn't bear to. Now she had no choice but to activate it. Yunchujio gritted her teeth. Damn it, it was you who forced me. Today I will use the defensive spirit tool to smash you all to death. Thinking of this, Yunchujio directly walked out from behind the rock. She did not dodge the spiritual attacks of the 4 people at all. Instead, she aimed several small purple needles at one of them. After that person dodged Yunchujio's attack, he sneered again and again. Stinky girl, you are indeed not dead. However, even if you have a defensive spirit tool, it is useless. It won't be long before the defensive spirit tool will shatter. Yunchujio bared her teeth and smiled. Then let's see whether you guys can hold on for long or my defensive spirit tool can hold on for long. Die. The 4 men in black tragically discovered that the defensive barrier on Yunchujia's body shattered layer after layer, but there was always a new defensive barrier being formed. Just how many defensive spirit tools did this guy have on him? Yunchujio was not afraid of attacks, but they were. In particular, Yunchujio did not defend at all. She attacked relentlessly and soon some people could not hold on anymore. After Yunchujio killed one, she became even more confident. Sure enough, money was a good thing. In the future she would need to get more defensive spirit tools. This thing was really good. Chapter 1209. Octopus fishing. After a while, another black-clothed person was killed by Yunchujio. The other 2 black-clothed people had the intention to retreat when they saw this. There were too many defensive spirit tools on this stinky girl. They had no way to hurt her at all. They might even lose their lives. It was better to leave. They thought, well, but how could Yunchujio let them escape? This guy blocked the entrance of the cave and didn't give them any chance to escape. When they felt that it was about time, they released Xiao Hei Lai Yen and the 3-tailed fox king. She also summoned 8 immortal swords and started to fight with the 2 men in black. 15 minutes later, the 2 men in black also fell to the ground and died. Yunchujio was so tired that she collapsed on the ground. She counted with her fingers that she had killed a total of 16 men in black. She had almost killed half of them. Yunchujia's eyes deepened. If they dared to provoke her, she would kill them one by one. The next day, Yunchujio changed into the same outfit as the men in black. Then she wandered around outside. She called it fishing. Sure enough, it was very effective. The next day she killed 3 more groups of people. After calculating, there should only be 4 people left. One of them was the masked leader. On the 3rd day, Yunchujio met the remaining 4 men in black as she wished. After the leader of the masked men saw the clothes on Yunchujia's body, he asked coldly, "You killed our men?" Yunchujio pointed at the clothes on her body. "That's right. Where do you think I got these clothes from? To tell you the truth, your men are already waiting for you underground. Hurry up and go. Otherwise they will be easily bullied without a leader, right?" The leader of the masked men was shocked, but he felt that Yunchujio must be exaggerating. Perhaps she had killed 1 or 2 people, but she, a 2nd-level spirit sect cultivator, had killed nearly 30 of his men? This was simply impossible. "Stupid girl, cut the crap and die." The leader of the masked men waved his hand, and the other 3 men in black swarmed forward. The spiritual power of these 4 men was obviously higher than the previous ones, especially the leader of the masked men. Yunchujio found it very difficult to deal with him. However, Yunchujio still had a trump card that was useless. Therefore, when the leader of the masked men in black was fighting fiercely, He suddenly staggered and Yun Chujia's purple needle arrived. Damn it, I can even kill a level 26 demonic beast, how can I not kill you? The purple needle was shot into the head of the masked leader. After the explosion, the masked leader was dead. The other 3 people saw that the masked leader was killed so quickly and they were flustered. Yun Chujio summoned 8 immortal swords again and with the help of Xiao Hei Lai Yen and the 3-tailed fox king. The 3 of them finally fell to the ground and died. Yun Chujio put away the 4 corpses and then laughed out loud. Humph. You want to kill me? This is what you get for trying to kill me. In how you old bastard, just you wait. I will kill you sooner or later. Yun Chujio knew that the exit was in the south, so she kept walking towards the south. However, this fellow thought of a crucial problem. This was the mid-year competition. If senior brother Feng Ming and the others went out to deliver the letter, perhaps their results would be affected. She couldn't just go out like this. She had to get some spirit herbs and demon cores. When the time came, she could distribute them to everyone. Yun Chujio thought of this and began to pick herbs and hunt. However, this fellow felt that it was too slow, so she said, "Go Wei Ba, help me lure some demon beasts over. Not too many, just a dozen at a time." Chapter 12:10 was an unexpected result. Guai Chao was feeling guilty right now, so he naturally did not dare to disagree. He eagerly followed Yun Chujia's instructions and attracted more than 10 demon beasts at a time. Yun Chujio, on the other hand, had set up a trap. When the demon beasts arrived, she first called out to Lai Yen, the 3-tailed fox king, and when the demon beasts were distracted, Yun Chujia's purple needles also arrived. Those demon beasts were in big trouble. There was no coming back. One batch after another died. After killing a few hundred demonic beasts, Yun Chujio felt that it was enough. He couldn't kill all of them. Otherwise, the ecological balance would be destroyed. Then this fellow began to pick up scraps in the surroundings. The demonic beasts that she killed basically all had territories, and there were spirit herbs in their territories. Sure enough, she picked up quite a few spirit herbs in the surroundings and felt that it was enough. Only then did she continue to head south. Halfway there, she met Deputy Dean Xiao and the others. When Feng Ming and the others saw that Yun Chujio was safe and sound, they were extremely excited. One after another, they came over to ask her how she had escaped. Yun Chujio made up a lie, saying that she had fallen down the cliff. Unexpectedly, she had accidentally hidden herself in the cave. After coming out, she did not see those black-clothed people. Those black-clothed people were probably afraid of being discovered, therefore they all left. Deputy Dean Xiao knew that there were many people, so he did not ask in detail. He sent a few instructors to the edge to check the situation of the array formation. Then he said, "Yun Chujio, the day after tomorrow is the day after the end of the mid-year grand competition. The few of you have been affected by the sudden incident. I will explain the situation to the academy. I will not eliminate you." Although Yun Chujio had already gotten quite a lot of things from her storage ring, she did not say anything. After thanking him, she followed him out. When everyone was about to reach the entrance of the Crimson Cloud Valley, the students from the Huang class were waiting there obediently. This was because when Yun Chujio entered the valley, she had told them to gather here before going out. "Deputy Dean Xiao, I will talk to them. I will go out later." Deputy Dean Xiao nodded. "The time for the trial is almost up. Don't delay too much or their results will be invalid." Yun Chujio obediently agreed and then jumped to the middle of the Huang class students. An hour later, all the students of Tianyuan Academy left Crimson Cloud Valley and gathered at the entrance of the valley. Yin Sulian saw that Yun Chujio had come out unscathed, and she couldn't help but hate in her heart. This bitch was really lucky. Those secret guards were really trash. They actually didn't manage to kill this bitch. However, Yun Chujio and those 20 over Huang class students were definitely going to be eliminated. Chimp, as long as you were kicked out of Tianyuan Academy, it would be easy for them to kill you. There were already teachers who had started to tally the results. After the results were out, there was actually not a single Huang class student who was ranked in the bottom 50. More than half of the students from the Earth class and the Shen class, and more than a dozen from the Heaven class. The crowd immediately exploded. How is that possible? The Yellow class has the weakest spiritual power. How can they not be on the list of eliminated students? Some of them haven't even learned how to materialize their spiritual power. How can they be better than us? Exactly. Is the statistics wrong? The teachers who were in charge of the statistics were instantly enraged. This is outrageous. We've been responsible for the statistics for decades. How can we still be wrong? If anyone is unconvinced, they can personally recount it. Those students who were eliminated naturally wouldn't let go of this chance to turn the tables. They immediately expressed that they wanted to select a few students from the Huang class. The teachers responsible for the statistics laughed coldly. Go ahead. If there are any mistakes, well, take the initiative to leave. Chapter 12:11. The results of Yun Chujio and the others. Those students had drawn a few students from the yellow class and calculated it once, but it turned out to be exactly the same. They were unwilling to accept it, so they had drawn a few more students from the yellow class, but the results were still the same. Their faces flushed red and they didn't say anything. Enchanting rolled her eyes and snorted coldly at the side. Actually, Yun Chujio and the other 25 people should be ranked last. They must not have gotten much. Deputy Dean Xiao said with a sullen face. Yun Chujio was attacked in Scarlet Cloud Valley. Feng Ming and the others came out to report for the safety of their classmates, so they naturally have to give rewards. Therefore, their results are not included. Most of the people heard Deputy Dean Xiao's words and expressed their understanding. After all, the situation was special, but those students who were about to be eliminated would not do it. If Yun Chujio and the others' results were included, they might not have to be eliminated. Therefore, someone said, who knows if what they said is true? Maybe they made it up so that they wouldn't be eliminated. That's right. Other than these people, no one else has seen any black-clothed people. Who knows what's going on? Feng Ming and the other two are only at the second level of the spirit sect. If they were to participate in the grand competition normally, they would definitely be eliminated. That's why they came up with this idea. It's really too cunning. Deputy Dean Xiao frowned. Not only were these students weak in spiritual power, but their character was also extremely bad. Enchanting stood at the side. She gloated and said, Yun Chujio, some things will be discovered as soon as they are done. Your little tricks aren't always useful. You don't have to be eliminated, but those students will suffer. How despicable. Enchanting's lackeys also joined in the commotion, and the scene immediately became chaotic. Yun Chujio suddenly laughed and her clear laughter stunned everyone. Was this Yun Chujio crazy? Deputy Dean Xiao, don't make things difficult for us. Although we don't want to lie, we are willing to participate in the results statistics to shut some people up. Yun Chujio said indifferently. Deputy Dean Xiao frowned. Aren't you looking for trouble yourself? How many things can you get if you keep evading the pursuit? Not to mention that the things Feng Ming and the others found were even more limited in order to report the news. Mo Hanshuan, the teacher in charge of the Heaven class, said, Deputy Dean Xiao, since Yun Chujio has taken the initiative to participate in the results statistics, let them participate. After all, it's more fair to the other students. The teachers in charge of the other two classes, Ji Bingyu and Qing Yuanda, also echoed, yes, since they have agreed, let's do the statistics. They naturally had their own plans. Never in their wildest dreams did they expect that there wasn't a single person in the bottom 50 in the Huang class. This was simply a slap to their faces. They had actually been suppressed by the Huang class. It was simply a great humiliation. How could they have known that after Yun Chujio estimated everyone's results, she had secretly given the Huang class many things? That was why the Huang class results were so good. Ji Sha had originally wanted to persuade Yun Chujio, but when he saw Yun Chujio's crafty eyes, he knew that he did not need to say anything else. This little girl must have made preparations. Deputy Dean Xiao couldn't say anything else at this time, so he could only get people to count the results of Yun Chujio and the others. Enchanting was very proud at the side. Yun Chujio, I didn't expect you to boast that you're smart, but in fact you're a fool. You actually agreed to participate in the results statistics? You're really stupid to the core. Not only you, Feng Ming and the others will also be eliminated. When that time comes, they will definitely resent you. If it wasn't for you, they wouldn't have been eliminated. Just wait for everyone to turn their backs on you. Chapter 12:12 had something good for him a moment later. The teachers who were in charge of the results exclaimed. Everyone looked at them in confusion. The teachers did not say anything. They only showed the results of Yun Chujio and the other 25 people. Then everyone was stunned. Well, the points of these 25 people were more than the points of 250 people. How could this be possible? Mo Hanshuan and the other two were still petty enough to personally check it out. As expected, these demonic cores and spiritual herbs were all freshly picked within half a month. This meant that Yun Chujio and the others did not cheat. Yun Chujio sighed. Actually, I'm the kindest person. I feel that our team wasted a lot of time and even obtained so many spoils of war. It's really too depressing, so I agreed to Deputy Dean Xiao's suggestion. I didn't expect that you guys would take the initiative to request to be slapped in the face. Then we can only be impolite. Although everyone was fuming with anger, the truth was there. Not only were Yun Chujio and the others not ranked in the bottom 50, but they had also jumped into the top 25. This time not only did they not have to be expelled, but they also received contribution points as rewards. Half a day later, the few teachers who had gone to check on the formation returned. As expected, they found traces of people entering at the edge of the formation. This also proved that Yun Chujio and the others were not lying. The faces of those who had been gossiping earlier suddenly flushed red. They felt like their faces were on fire. They wished they could find a hole to hide in. Deputy Dean Xiao saw that everyone was already here, so he gave the order to set off and return to Tianyuan Academy. There were some who were happy and some who were sad on the flying spirit tool. The students who had successfully passed the exam were naturally very happy, but the 50 students who were about to be eliminated were dejected and very depressed. One could imagine how grateful the students of the Huang class were towards Yun Chujio. If it weren't for the demon cores and spirit herbs that Yun Chujio had secretly given them, they would very likely be the ones who would be eliminated. 5 days later at noon, the flying spirit tool arrived at Tianyuan Academy. As soon as everyone got off the flying spirit tool, Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Students, if you have nothing else to do, just follow me and watch the show. I guarantee it will be a good show." Everyone was confused. What was Yun Chujio trying to do? After all, the mid-year competition was over, so it was easy for them to follow her. Yun Chujio said to the Huang class students, "Help me create some atmosphere and attract more people. This is going to be a great show." The Huang class students wanted to repay Yun Chujio, but now was their chance. They were all on steroids and they were just short of beating drums to announce it to the world. Soon many people gathered behind Yun Chujio. Even Deputy Dean Xiao and the others were curious. What was Yun Chujio up to? The crowd followed Yun Chujio to a courtyard. Everyone saw that it was Deputy Dean Yin's courtyard. What was Yun Chujio doing here? Could it be related to Deputy Dean Yin? Deputy Dean Yin's courtyard was also guarded by guards. Yun Chujio smiled at him. "Brother guard, please pass the message that I have something good to give to Deputy Dean Yin. Ask him to come out and receive it." Yin Silian squeezed through the crowd and said, "Yun Chujio, why are you looking for my fourth grandfather? He must be up to no good." "Yin Silian, you have wronged me. I am here to give something good to Deputy Dean Yin. You will see it in a while. Don't be anxious." "Humph. I want to see what tricks you have up your sleeve. Be careful or you will be in big trouble." Yin Silian sneered. Yun Chujio smiled meaningfully. "Yin Silian, I think you'd better stay out of my way. Otherwise, the things that will happen next will cast a shadow over your life." Chapter 12-13. The property of the Yin family is returned to you. Humph. Nonsense. You are deliberately mystifying. Yin Silian curled her lips in disdain. At this moment, the gate of the courtyard opened and Deputy Dean Yin walked out. "Yun Chujio, why are you looking for me? Doesn't your Huang class have a teacher in charge? Why are you looking for me?" Deputy Dean Yin's eyes were filled with disgust. This wretched girl was really lucky. He actually didn't die. That group of trash, more than 30 people, actually didn't manage to kill Yun Chujio. She was really stupid to death. Moreover, she didn't even know to send a message back before she killed Yun Chujio. She really deserved to die. "Deputy Dean Yin, I obtained some good stuff during the Scarlet Cloud Valley trial. I realized that it belongs to your Yin family, so I plan to return it to you," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Before Deputy Dean Yin could say anything, Yin Silian raised her voice. "Yun Chujio, you shameless thief. You actually stole something from our Yin family. Hand it over now. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson." Yun Chujio looked at Yin Silian with amusement. "Yin Silian, your brain is a good thing, but you didn't grow up. Didn't you hear me? I picked it up in the Crimson Cloud Valley and am here to return it, right? What's the rush? Sulian was rendered speechless by Yun Chujia's rebuke, so she had no choice but to act tough on the inside. If you want to return it, then hurry up. What are you waiting for? Are you trying to refuse to return it? Of course I have to return it. I don't dare to take anything from your family. Everyone move aside. This thing takes up a lot of space. The corners of Yun Chujia's lips curled up, and her eyes flashed with a cold light. Everyone was puzzled. What exactly did Yun Chujia want to return to Deputy Dean Yin? Found it in the Crimson Cloud Valley? How could there be anything belonging to the Yin family in the Crimson Cloud Valley? Deputy Dean Yin was also very puzzled. However, he didn't think that Yun Chujia was that kind-hearted. He had an inexplicable ominous feeling in his heart. Deputy Dean Yin looked carefully. I have returned it intact. After Yun Chujia finished speaking, the corpse of a man in black appeared on the ground. Everyone immediately exploded. Oh my god, wasn't Yun Chujia attacked by masked men at Crimson Cloud Valley? Could this person be? I think so. Oh my god, it's someone from the Yin family. Tske Yun Chujia has offended the Yin family many times. The Yin family is not to be trifled with. This Yun Chujia is really intrepid. Not only did she kill him, she even gave him to Deputy Dean Yin. This is a blatant slap in the face. Deputy Dean Yin's expression was gloomy as he looked at the black-clothed man on the ground. Yun Chujia, what do you mean by this? What does this person have to do with me? The corners of Yun Chujia's mouth curled up. Nothing to do with you? What about this? Another corpse of a man in black was thrown on the ground. Before Deputy Dean Yin could say anything, Yun Chujia continued. This? And these? Following Yun Chujia's words, one corpse after another appeared in front of Deputy Dean Yin. There were more than 30 corpses of men in black. Everyone was shocked. Damn. These were the Yin family's secret guards? It seemed that the Yin family really hated Yun Chujia to death. They actually sent so many people to kill Yun Chujia. However, how did Yun Chujia kill all these people? Wasn't she only at the second layer of the spirit sect? Deputy Dean Yin was also shocked and took a step back. It was impossible. How could Yun Chujia kill all these secret guards? Their spiritual power was much higher than Yun Chujia's, and there were many of them. How could they all be killed by Yun Chujia? At this moment, Yun Chujia threw a bunch of tokens on the ground. Deputy Dean Yin, these are the identity jade tokens on their bodies. Don't tell me you don't recognize the Yin family's jade tokens. Alright, there's another good thing. Listen up, everyone. Chapter 12:14 was too fucking intrepid. Yun Chujia took out the recording stone, and from it came the voices of a few people. What can a daughter of an old friend do to our Yin clan? Although the Temple of Immortals has a special status, our Yin clan didn't give it away for nothing. Besides, they can't catch any evidence. The crowd was even more enlightened. 10,000% of these black-clothed people were sent by the Yin clan to kill Yun Chujia. It was just that they didn't know what method Yun Chujia used to actually kill all of them. This was going to be a good show. Yun Chujia sneered. The Yin clan is truly astonishingly powerful. They don't even put the Hall of Immortals in their eyes. Moreover, they openly entered the Tianyuan Academy's trial zone to kill students. Deputy Dean Yin, you really have the power to cover the skies. Are you trying to say that my recording stone is a forgery? Are you trying to deny the relationship between these people and the Yin clan? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm not doing this today to check with you, but to tell you that it won't be that easy to kill me. Moreover, I'll kill anyone who comes, and I'll kill anyone who comes. If the Yin family dares to provoke me again, I'll destroy your Yin family. After saying that, Yun Chujia didn't care about Deputy Dean Yin's reaction and directly left. Everyone looked at the corpse on the ground, then looked at the ashen-faced Deputy Dean Yin, then looked at Yun Chujia's retreating figure. There were only two words in their hearts. Intrepid. Too fucking intrepid. Everyone even felt that Yun Chujia's retreating figure had instantly become radiant. Putting everything else aside, just this domineering aura alone was enough to instantly kill Deputy Dean Yin. Although it was a bit unrealistic for her to say that she had wiped out the Yin clan, this aura was truly shocking. Moreover, the most important thing was that she had single-handedly killed over 30 Yin clan's hidden guards. This was truly a ruthless slap to the Yin clan's face. Of course, there were also people who felt that there was something fishy about this. Perhaps someone had secretly helped Yun Chujio to wipe out the Yin clan's secret guards. It was very likely that it was the Temple of Immortal Secret Guards. After all, the palace mistress seemed to quite like Yun Chujio. Alright, these people had been completely deceived by Yun Chujio's facade. Most people believed that the palace mistress liked Yun Chujio very much. Only those who had been in the guest hall before knew how much the palace mistress disliked Yun Chujio. Deputy Dean Xiao had been watching from behind the crowd the whole time. He gave Deputy Dean Jiang a look and the two of them turned around to leave. I didn't expect that Yin Haoyu would actually do such a despicable thing. He's really petty and vengeful. Deputy Dean Jiang was extremely angry. As the academy's deputy dean, he actually sent people to kill students. It was simply shameless to the extreme. He has nothing to fear. Although we can prove that those people are from the Yin family, he can completely say that he doesn't know. Let's secretly collect evidence. Although he is sly and cunning, there will still be traces left behind. This Yin Haoyu is getting more and more outrageous. However, that Yun Chujio is very suitable for this old man's temper. It is really venting my anger. This little girl is really fierce. Deputy Dean Jiang could not help but get excited when Yun Chujio was mentioned. Deputy Dean Xiao also smiled and said, "This little girl actually didn't reveal the slightest bit of information in Crimson Cloud Valley. I didn't expect that she was holding back her big move. However, this little girl is also quite bold. With her actions, she is openly challenging the Yin family. Humph. Even if she doesn't do this, do you think that old man Yin Haoyu will let this little girl off? I think that this little girl's actions are right. At least for a short period of time, Yin Haoyu will be able to calm down for a while. And for the sake of face, the Temple of Immortals will give the Yin clan a lesson," Deputy Dean Jiang said. Chapter 12:15. The invitation from the wife of the Hall Master. That's right. Yun Chujio is also considered to have risen from the dead. However, I am very curious. How did Yun Chujio kill all these people? Could it really be that she did it all by herself? Deputy Dean Xiao asked, puzzled. Deputy Dean Jiang didn't quite agree. That's not possible, right? Although the little girl was quite clever, the difference in spiritual power was so great. The opponent had more than 30 people. How could she have killed them all by herself? Perhaps it was the help of the secret guards of the Temple of Immortals. Deputy Dean Xiao shook his head. No, I think that these people were all killed by the little girl. As for what method she used, I'm afraid it's not a conventional method. This little girl has a belly full of evil water. She might not have cheated them in any way. Right this time, not a single person from the Huang class was eliminated. This is too strange. Could it be that Ji Sha's teaching level is so high? In less than half a year, he has completely transformed those students with average aptitude? Deputy Dean Jiang asked in puzzlement. Deputy Dean Xiao thought for a moment and said, although Ji Sha is not bad, it's impossible for him to make such great progress in such a short period of time. I heard that the students of the Huang class move in groups. Perhaps this is more efficient and their results are also more average. Although they can't be particularly good, they won't be eliminated. Deputy Dean Jiang said suspiciously, it's that simple. I feel that there's something fishy about it. Forget it. Since the mid-year competition is over, we can relax for a month. That's right. We can use this opportunity to visit our old friends. At this moment, Deputy Dean Yin's face was ashen. He didn't expect that more than 30 secret guards couldn't even kill a little girl at the second level of the spirit sect. What made him even angrier was that they were all killed by Yun Chujio. They were simply stupid to the extreme. What made him angrier the most was that this smelly girl actually declared war on him so arrogantly. She was simply slapping the Yin family's face. Smelly girl, don't be complacent. It's going to be a months-long vacation soon. If you leave the Tianyuan Academy, I will definitely kill you. Deputy Dean Yin looked at the corpses on the ground with a face full of disgust. However, he couldn't just leave them there. He could only wave his hand and put them into his storage ring. Then he stormed into the courtyard angrily. The next morning, the elimination list for each grade was announced, and the half-yearly long vacation began. Junior sister Little Nine, what are your plans for this month? Feng Ming asked. Yun Chujio sighed. It's a pity that only spiritual venerables can pass through the barriers of the two continents. Otherwise, I could use this month to go back and see grandfather and the others. Since I can't go back, then I'll just stay in the Tianyuan Academy and cultivate. Feng Ming blinked and asked mischievously, Junior sister little Jiu, young Master D, no, your excellency should be coming to look for you, right? Yun Chujio pouted. The old witch knows that I'm on holiday, so she must be watching me very closely. I reckon that the pretty boy can't get away. Feng Ming's face stiffened when he heard Yun Chujio's two strange names. In the Tianyuan continent, only junior sister little Jiu would dare to call the palace master's wife and your excellency that way. What Yun Chujio did not expect was that the next day, Manager Luo from the Temple of Immortals had arrived. Ninth Miss, under the orders of the palace master's wife, I invite you to the Temple of Immortals for a long holiday, Manager Luo said respectfully. She had naturally looked down on a little girl from the Qingxian continent in the beginning, but after these few incidents, she deeply understood one thing, and that was that she would rather offend the palace master's wife than offend this little girl. This little girl was really despicable. Chapter 12-16 Inviting a daughter-in-law into the house. Yun Chujio thought she was hallucinating. Oh my god, is the sun rising from the north? The old witch invited me to the Temple of Immortals. Isn't she afraid of inviting a wolf into the house? Bah. It should be inviting a daughter-in-law into the house. Manager Luo, why is my aunt suddenly so good to me? Yun Chujio asked while blinking her eyes. The corner of Manager Luo's eyes twitched. Reporting to Miss Jiu, not only has the palace mistress invited you, she has also invited Miss Qin, Miss Bai Li and Miss Yin. I will send a letter to the other three young ladies later. The corner of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. No wonder she had become a manager, showing off her achievements without batting an eyelid. She said with a smile, Manager Luo, every time those little bastards visit the Longevity Palace, will they reward you with money or gifts? Even in her dreams, Manager Luo never thought that Yun Chujio would ask such an embarrassing question. Her expression was slightly unnatural as she said, there are some, but every time I accept it, I will report it to the palace mistress. Oh, I know. You go and deliver the letter to them. Yun Chujio waved her claws and said. Manager Luo's face was full of confusion. What did she mean? What do you mean you know? You just asked me one sentence without thinking? However, even though she was extremely puzzled, she didn't dare to ask. She then went to deliver the letter to Qin Mingzhu and the others. After Manager Luo left, Yun Chujio took out the voice transmission talisman and asked Di Baiming, Prince Charming, what is your mother planning this time? I just heard about it. I guess she wants you guys to accompany her to relieve her boredom. Don't worry, I will do everything. Di Baiming actually didn't believe what he said. His mother was probably thinking of ways to bully little Jiu again, but according to past experience, it was hard to say who would bully who in the end. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Relieve her boredom? There might not be any tricks up her sleeve. However, when the time comes, well, take it as it comes. Old witch, are you trying to trick me? I'll make you lose everything. Soon Manager Luo returned again. Miss Jiu, let's set off. Manager Luo had always been a little apprehensive about the gift that Yun Chujio had asked. What exactly did this little girl want to do? There was nothing much for cultivators to pack. Their things were all in their storage rings, so they could just lift their legs and leave. Therefore, Yun Chujio did not waste any time and followed Manager Luo out of the Tianyuan Academy. Qin Mingzhu and the other two had already waited at the academy's entrance. The five of them boarded their flying spirit tools and headed straight for the Palace of Immortals. Yun Chujio and the other two were not the only ones on the flying spirit tools. There were also dozens of secret guards. Qin Mingzhu and the others had special identities, so the palace mistress would naturally be prepared to prevent any accidents from happening. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart when she boarded the flying spirit tool. What a prodigal old witch. Why did she make a flying spirit tool so luxurious? What a prodigal. Manager Luo saw Yun Chujio staring at the thing on the flying spirit tool with sparkling eyes. She had an inexplicable ominous feeling in her heart. Sure enough, her premonition came true. This blanket is not bad. It looks very high-end and high-class. I'll take it. This reclining chair is really comfortable. I'll take it. This lamp looks quite unique. I'll take it. Manager Luo was about to cry. The things on it were all meticulously collected by the palace mistress. If all of them were taken away by the little girl, the palace mistress would definitely be furious. Yun Chujio saw Manager Luo's expression and comforted her. Manager Luo, you don't have to worry, I'll tell Aunt myself, she dotes on me the most, she definitely won't be reluctant to part with it. That cushion is not bad, I'll take it too. Chapter 12:17 This is my reward to you. Manager Luo looked at the flying spirit tool that was almost completely plundered. She wanted to find a rope and hang herself. Forget it, she was just a servant. It was better to let the palace master's wife ask for it from the little pervert. Yun Chujio took advantage of him, so she was naturally in a good mood. She said with a smile, Manager Luo, you have served my aunt hard. This 200,000 high-grade spirit stones is just a small token. No, Miss Jo, I appreciate your kindness. I don't dare to accept this spirit stone. Manager Luo was so scared that she almost sat on the ground. Damn, what was this little pervert trying to do? Would she be kind enough to reward me with spirit stones? Stop joking. It would be good if she didn't blackmail me. Yun Chujio's small face fell. Manager Luo, are you looking down on me? Although I'm not as rich as the 3 senior sisters, my aunt has given me a lot of spirit stones. I don't care about these spirit stones. If you don't accept them, you're looking down on me. Manager Luo was about to cry. It was the first time he felt that spirit stones were so scary, but he didn't dare not accept them. He then said, Thank you very much, Miss Jo. Yun Chujio said with satisfaction, That's right. You should be rewarded for taking good care of your aunt. And the most generous person. 3 senior sisters, don't you want to express your gratitude? Yun Chujio changed the topic and looked at Qin Mingzhu and the other 2, then she said, I am sorry. There's something wrong with my question. You will definitely reward me for my kindness. Don't blame me. Don't take it to heart. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. Qin Mingzhu and the other 2's faces stiffened. Pretend that you didn't say anything? Since you said it, can we pretend that we didn't hear it? Moreover, you've already rewarded us with a pauper. If we don't reward you, how will Manager Luo view us? After hearing what she said to the palace mistress, will she have a good impression of us? Most importantly, you're usually the most stingy. This time you actually offered 200,000 high-grade spirit stones. How much do you want us to reward you with? Can't be less than you, right? However, Manager Luo was the wife's right-hand woman. It was worth it to curry favor with her. Qin Mingzhu was the first to speak. Manager Luo, what Junior Yun said makes sense. You have served the wife without complaint. You are indeed a meritorious person. This 300,000 high-grade spirit stones can be considered as a small token of my appreciation. Although Qin Mingzhu said it casually, her heart ached terribly. 300,000. However, it couldn't be less than Yun Chujio. Otherwise, Manager Luo might think that she wasn't as sincere as Yun Chujio. Just as Manager Luo was about to decline, Yun Chujio said, Manager Luo, you have to treat everyone equally. If you accept mine, how can you not accept Senior Sister Qin's? Quickly put it away. Otherwise, Senior Sister Qin will be unhappy. Qin Mingzhu also said with a slightly sullen face, Junior Sister Yun is right. If Manager Luo doesn't accept it, then you are looking down on me. For the first time, Manager Luo felt that accepting gifts was such a terrible thing, so she could only accept Qin Mingzhu's 300,000 high-grade spirit stones. Since Qin Mingzhu had already given it to them, Bailey Yen and Yin Sulian naturally couldn't be reconciled to others. Each of them also gave Manager Luo 300,000 high-grade spirit stones. Manager Luo felt that these spirit stones were simply a hot potato. After thanking her, she went to another room and prepared to report this matter to the palace master's wife. Just as she entered the room, before she could organize her words, she heard someone knocking on the door. Manager Luo opened the door. I'm looking for you for something. Can you help me see why this lamp isn't lit? Yun Chujio held the lamp that she had stolen and muttered. Chapter 12:18 was really too shameless. Manager Luo had no choice but to open the door. Yun Chujio carried the lamp into the room, then closed the door and took out the isolation disc to open it. Only then did she say with a smile, Manager Luo, I've helped you so much. Don't you have something to show for it? Manager Luo's face was full of confusion, and it took her a long time to react. She hurriedly transferred the 200,000 high-grade spirit stones to Yun Chujio. Miss Jo, this spirit stone, you take it? Yun Chujio curled her lips. This 200,000 is mine to begin with. I lent it to you as bait. You caught such a big fish and took it all for yourself? 900,000 spirit stones, why didn't you give me half of it? Manager Luo felt that there was no one who could be so shameless. She felt that Yun Chujio had completely refreshed her understanding of shamelessness. It turned out that people could be so shameless. Yun Chujio saw Manager Luo's stunned face. She said unhappily, "Why are you so greedy? If I didn't raise the price, they wouldn't even give you this small amount of reward every time. Now you still have so much left. People can't be too greedy. Hurry up and transfer me 450,000 or 500,000. Manager Luo transferred 450,000 to Yun Chujio without thinking. Then Yun Chujio said with a smile, "That's right. We need to be honest in business. We have a good cooperation this time. Let's continue the cooperation next time." Manager Luo did not recover until Yun Chujio left the room for a long time. Shameless. Too shameless. Didn't you just say a few words? On what basis did you split 450,000 spirit stones? Qin Mingzhu and the others gave me spirit stones on account of the palace master's wife. What has it got to do with you? Manager Luo picked up the voice transmission talisman and reported the matter to the palace master's wife. After hearing it, the palace master's wife was so angry that she started to twitch. This little trash is really greedy and shameless. Just you wait, when we reach my territory you'll see how I'll deal with you. Yun Chujio made a small fortune and was in a good mood. Looking at the three love rivals, she became a lot more pleasing to the eye. The journey is boring. I have a good storybook here. Do you want to read it? Yun Chujio asked Qin Mingzhu and the other two with a smile. Bailey Yen said happily, "Really? What storybook?" "Of course it's the best storybook. Usually I can't bear to lend it to others," Yun Chujio said as she took out a stack of storybooks and gave one to Qin Mingzhu and the other two. The three of them looked down and immediately blushed. Yin Xinlian threw the storybook to Yun Chujio. "Yun Chujio. You have no sense of shame. You actually read such a storybook." Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yen also threw the script to Yun Chujio one after another. They said disapprovingly, "Junior Yun, how can you read such a script? It's really immoral. You really don't know how to appreciate a good person's heart. If you don't want to read it, then forget it. I'll read it myself. You guys can just sit there and rely on it." Yun Chujio felt very regretful in her heart. She originally thought that they would like to read it and earn a sum of money. She didn't expect that they actually didn't like it. They really did not know how to appreciate beauty. Qin Mingzhu and the other two looked at Yun Chujio, who was watching with great interest with disdain. The people from the lower tier were indeed vulgar. A little girl actually read that kind of script. She really did not know how to be shameless. However, Yin Xinlian's heart moved. The palace mistress had always loathed Yun Chujio. She had thought of a way to reveal the fact that Yun Chujio read this kind of script to the palace mistress. The palace mistress would definitely loathe her even more. Once she lost the protection of the palace mistress, killing her would be a piece of cake. Chapter 12-19. The Old Witch's Show of Force. That morning, the flying spirit tool arrived at the Temple of Immortals. The Temple of Immortals was on a high mountain surrounded by clouds and mist. Exotic flowers and plants were everywhere as if it was a fairyland. The 10,000-year-old heritage was indeed not to be underestimated. The identities of the four of them were naturally not worthy of the palace master's wife coming out personally to welcome them. Manager Luo brought the four of them directly to the courtyard where they could rest. Qin Mingzhu and the other two often came to attend banquets, so they were arranged to stay in the courtyard where they usually stayed. Yun Chujio did not know what it meant to be reserved, so she went in one by one to take a look. The furnishings in the house were very exquisite. One look and it was obvious that it was worth a lot. In her heart she scolded the old witch who squandered her family dozens of times. After looking at the residence of Qin Mingzhu and the other two, Manager Luo brought Yun Chujio to her residence. No matter how Yun Chujio looked at it, she felt that Manager Luo had a secret in his heart. She did not even dare to look at her. Manager Luo's heart was on the verge of breaking down. This little ancestor would definitely cause a ruckus in a while. "My dear, you've really dug a hole for me." The two of them walked for a full hour before arriving at a remote small courtyard. When Yun Chujio saw the small courtyard, she immediately understood why Manager Luo was trembling in fear. It turned out that the old witch wanted to show her off. Manager Luo braced herself and took out the jade token to open the small courtyard. It was obvious that no one had lived there for a long time. The weeds grew taller than people. Manager Luo stuttered. That ninth miss, the palace mistress said that you like silence. This place is more suitable for you. Bullshit. She was not a mouse who liked dark corners. Manager Luo saw Yun Chujia's gloomy face and became even more nervous. This little pervert would not hit her directly, right? Yun Chujio did not get angry and said lightly, since Aunt arranged for me to be here, I naturally have no objections. Get a few servants to come over and let them help me clean up. Manager Luo was very surprised that Yun Chujio was so calm. She could still make the decision to arrange a few servants. He quickly said, Hey. I'll immediately arrange for the servants to come and listen to your arrangements. Miss Ju, I'll go see the palace master's wife first. If there's anything, just ask the servants to look for me. Manager Luo saw that Yun Chujio nodded and left as if she was flying away. She looked like she was running away in a panic. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Wasn't she just scamming her for some spirit stones? Was there a need to be so afraid of her? Yun Chujio waited for a long while before 4 maids came over, chatting and laughing. Most of their spirit power was around the 6th or 7th level of the spirit sect. When they came to Yun Chujio's side, they gave a perfunctory bow. Chun Hua, Xia He, Chiu Yu and Dong Shui greet Miss Jiu. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. They didn't take her seriously at all. She didn't know whether it was their own idea or the old witch's instruction. Well, let's start cleaning. I'll give you 4 hours, Yun Chujio said lightly. The 4 of them said they would start cleaning after that. However, the efficiency was very low. The 4 of them were obviously not working hard and were talking and laughing. After 2 hours, the weeds in the yard had not been completely removed, not to mention the inside of the house. Yun Chujio was meditating and cultivating at the side. She only glanced at them occasionally and continued to cultivate without changing her expression. Soon 4 hours had passed. Yun Chujio opened her eyes and saw that although the weeds in the yard had been removed, there were still grass roots exposed outside. The 4 of them were chatting and laughing. They had no intention of cleaning the house. Yun Chujio stood up and said indifferently, Have you finished cleaning up? I'll still beat Insulian and I'll kill the Yin family's secret guards. Do you think that your little maids can challenge me? Yun Chujio turned around and kicked Chiu Yu and Dong Shui away. I'll give you 2 hours. If you still can't satisfy us, I'll kill you. Do you think that my aunt will punish me for you 4 idiots who have offended their superiors? Yun Chujio said coldly. Chun Hua and the others felt that the little girl in front of them was like a completely different person from before. The little girl from before was weak and easy to bully, but now she was like a jinx. It was comparable to the majesty of the emperor. It was too scary. The 4 of them got up and quickly cleaned up. This time it was completely different from before. They wished they could grow 2 more hands and even pull out the grass on the roof. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. Some people bullied the weak and were afraid of the strong. She had to teach them a lesson so that they would understand what it meant to be tactful. Chapter 12:21 had to be worth the trip. 2 hours later, the entire courtyard looked brand new. Other than the lack of spirit plants, it looked pretty good. Chun Hua and the other 3 were much more respectful this time, and there was even a hint of fear in them. Miss Jiu were done cleaning. Yun Chujio glanced at them. She opened the isolation disc and said calmly, Did you hear what someone said? Is that why you think I'm a country bumpkin who's easy to bully? Tell us the truth or I'll draw 2 little bastards on your faces. When Chun Hua and the other 3 heard Yun Chujio's question, they were shocked, but they did not dare to keep it a secret. They could only tell her the truth. It was Sister Dian Chui. She said that you're far inferior to the other 3 ladies and that you're just a passerby. The palace master's wife doesn't like you very much and can't wait for you to make a fool of yourself. Who the hell is Dian Chui? Sister Dian Chui is one of the palace master's wife's 4 handmaidens. Her status is much higher than ours. She said it when she was chatting with us yesterday. Yun Chujio nodded. Every time Yin Xinlian and the others come, how do you usually prepare 3 meals a day? The palace master's wife will assign a servant girl to each lattice courtyard. She will be in charge of fetching meals and such. It seems that the palace master's wife has not arranged any servant girls for you. Which direction is the canteen? Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. Old witch, do you think you can make fun of me like this? Let's wait and see. Chun Hua pointed at the northeast corner. The canteen is in the northeast corner of the Hall of Immortals. Yun Chujio looked at the northeast corner. There was a faint smoke rising from the kitchen. It was probably the canteen. Tell me everything about the Hall of Immortals. If you are hiding anything, humph. Yun Chujio took out a large kitchen knife from her storage ring and waved it in front of the four people. Miss Ju, this isn't good, is it? If the lady of the temple master finds out, she won't forgive us. Chun Hua said with a trembling voice. Yun Chujio held the large kitchen knife and rubbed it against her face. If you don't tell me, I won't tell you. How will my aunt find out? Besides, what secret can you know? It's just something that almost everyone in the Temple of Immortals knows. It's not a secret at all. But if you don't tell us, there will be 2 more decorations on your handsome faces. Are you going to tell us or not? Chun Hua and the other 3 were on the verge of tears. They had originally thought that they were here to bully the country bumpkins, but now they had become the targets of threats. The 4 of them looked at each other. Yun Chujio was right. As long as they did not tell them, no one would know that they were the ones who had said it. Moreover, they could just choose some things that they could say. Hence, the 4 of them explained the basic situation of the Temple of Immortals. For example, this was only the back hall of the Temple of Immortals. The Venerable One lived in the front hall and usually handled matters in the front hall. Beiming was sent away by the palace master's wife. He probably would not return for 10 days to half a month. The Venerable One was in closed-door cultivation. The food in the Temple of Immortals canteen was very delicious. When Yun Chujio heard that the food in the cafeteria was very delicious, her heart was filled with joy. Oh right, the gigolo had brought her many delicious dishes before. They were probably cooked by the longevity hall. This trip must not be in vain. Chun Hua and the other 3 spoke until their mouths were dry. There was really nothing more to say, so they said with a sobbing voice, Miss Jo, we have told you everything we know. We really don't know anything else. Yun Chujio naturally knew that they were picky, but she did not care. She waved her hand, indicating that they could leave. The 4 of them ran away as if there was a wolf chasing them. Chapter 12:22. I'm here to order dishes. Yun Chujio pouted and entered the house. Although this courtyard was not exquisite, the house was still quite well equipped. There was a study, a living room and a bedroom. It was getting late, so the old witch probably would not summon her. She might as well go to the canteen for a stroll. She had nothing better to do. Yun Chujio followed the smoke and arrived at the canteen of the Temple of Immortals. In fact, this canteen only provided food for the people of the rear hall. Besides, there were only 3 masters of the Temple of Immortals, and the only people left in the rear hall were maids and servants, so the canteen was not very big. It was the time for dinner. The servants were taking turns to eat dinner. When they saw Yun Chujio, they were all stunned. Most of them had never seen Yun Chujio before. The steward of the canteen was an old man of some age. He stood up and asked, Miss, may I ask if you have something to do? I am a guest of the Hall of Immortals. My aunt said that the dishes cooked by your canteen are very delicious. She asked me to come over and order a few dishes. Can you help me introduce your specialty dishes? Yun Chujio found a chair and sat down. She said with a smile. A guest of the Hall of Immortals? Everyone immediately knew Yun Chujio's identity. The gossip among the servants spread the fastest, especially the words of Yen Chui, which had already spread throughout the circle of servants. The way everyone looked at Yun Chujio immediately changed. It was just like what Yen Chui had said. The people from Qingxian continent were indeed inexperienced. A guest like you actually came to the canteen to order food. You are really thick-skinned. They did not expect you to be a good-looking good-for-nothing. The steward of the canteen did not change his attitude. He took out a list and handed it to Yun Chujio. Miss Yun, the dishes on this list are all the dishes that our canteen is good at. Please choose. Yun Chujio took the menu and glanced at it. Many of the dishes looked familiar. It seemed that the dishes that the gigolo brought to her were all prepared by this small canteen. However, it was also true that the food in the front hall was provided by the secret guards, so it was naturally more rugged. Yun Chujio picked 6 dishes that she liked. Just these 6 dishes. They are not too complicated. It will save time to cook them. Before the steward of the canteen could respond, a sharp voice said, "Humph." It sounded as if she had eaten them before. Some people really took themselves seriously. Miss Xinlian would not be picky every time she came, and she was very generous. She was a proper lady from a big family. Yun Chujiu looked at the person who spoke. It was a maid in pink. Chapter 12:23. Give you 2 Lu Yi. I'm giving you a gift. I'm a man of my word. Of course I'll give you a gift, Yun Chujiu said as she took out her kitchen knife. Lu Yi was so scared that she screamed, What are you giving me? Originally I wanted to draw 2 little bastards on your face, but since your name is Lu Yi, then I'll draw 2 Lu Yi. Then wherever you go everyone will know that your name is Lu Yi. Oh right, didn't you say that Yin Xinlian is the most generous? After I draw you Lu Yi, you can go and ask her for medicinal pills and your appearance will return to normal. After all, you are also a dog that she feeds, so she will still be willing to part with you. Yun Chujiu took the large kitchen knife and rubbed it against Lu Yi's face. Lu Yi was so frightened that her face turned pale. You dare? If you dare to ruin my appearance, the palace master's wife will definitely stand up for me. My aunt dotes on me the most. Will she punish me because of a little handmaiden like you? Are you talking nonsense? After Yun Chujiu finished speaking, the large kitchen knife in her hand started to slice Lu Yi's face. Lu Yi's miserable howl made everyone's hair stand on end, but no one stepped forward to stop her. Although this Yun Chujiu was not liked by the palace mistress. But they were still guests after all. They were just servants, there was no need to have any conflict with her. After Yun Chujiu finished drawing the 2 pieces of Lu Yi, she nodded her head in satisfaction. Although I haven't drawn Lu Yi for a long time, the drawing is still pretty good. You can stand up and look at yourself in the mirror. It's really beautiful. After saying that, Yun Chujiu untied Lu Yi's acupoints and spiritual power. Lu Yi stood up, took out the mirror and almost fainted. 2 pieces of Lu Yi appeared on her delicate and flawless face. It was as ugly as it could be. She was blinded by anger and directly threw several wind blades at Yun Chujiu. The steward of the canteen frowned. Just as he was about to help Yun Chujiu block them, he saw that Yun Chujiu had already disappeared. She was actually behind Lu Yi and then she ruthlessly kicked Lu Yi. Lu Yi flew out like a kite with a broken string. She fell heavily to the ground and directly fainted. The contempt in everyone's hearts disappeared in a flash. Although this Yun Chujiu was at the 2nd level of the spirit sect, that Lu Yi was at the 6th level of the spirit sect. In front of Yun Chujiu she didn't even have the strength to fight back. You're really ungrateful. I helped her draw Lu Yi out of kindness, yet you want to repay kindness with enmity. This is really outrageous. That person in green, do you think my drawing is good? Yun Chujiu pointed at a maid. When the servant girl in green heard Yun Chujiu's question, she trembled slightly and said, Good, it's a good drawing. What do you think? Yun Chujiu pointed at a servant girl in purple. Good. Your drawing is lifelike, very good. The servant girl in purple quickly echoed. She thought to herself, this little girl is really too ruthless. Don't offend her. Yun Chujiu then nodded with satisfaction. It seems that your taste is much better than Lu Yi's. Those who are close to her will become red and those who are close to her will become black. You should stay away from her in the future so that you won't be infected by her stupidity. Everyone agreed. They only had one thought in their hearts. Regardless of whether this Yun Chujiu was a good-for-nothing or not, it would be easy for them to take care of these servants. It was better for them to be more respectful, otherwise they would end up like Lu Yi. Therefore everyone just let Lu Yi pass out and no one went over to ask. Yun Chujiu took out a handkerchief and wiped her hands. Then she said to the steward of the canteen with a smile, Steward, shouldn't you hurry up and cook? I have been hungry for a long time. Chapter 12:24 is for you. When the steward saw how fast Yun Chujiu changed her expression, he was stunned for a moment. He regained his senses and quickly said, Miss Yun, please wait for a moment. I will go and cook for you personally. Hey. You can call me Miss Jiu from now on. Miss Yun sounds weird. Yun Chujiu sat back on the chair and said with a smile. Yes, Miss Jiu. After saying that, the steward brought 2 helpers into the kitchen and busied himself. Those servants no longer dared to sit like a master or a lady. They all stood respectfully, afraid that if this little devil did not like them, they would end up like Lu Yi. Why are you all standing there? Continue eating. I am the kindest person. If you don't provoke me, I am still very easy to talk to. Yun Chujio took out a spirit fruit and started to eat it. Kind-hearted? Forget it. Using a large kitchen knife at the slightest disagreement and kicking at the slightest disagreement. If you were kind-hearted, there would be no evildoers in this world. Everyone hurriedly ate a few mouthfuls and then left one after another. Their speed was so fast that it was as if they were fleeing for their lives. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Why were the servants of the Palace of Immortals so timid? She didn't do anything. An hour later, Steward Li from the canteen placed the prepared dishes into a food box and handed it to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio opened it and saw that not only were there the 6 dishes that she had ordered, there were also some pastries and side dishes. This Steward Li sure knew how to do things. Yun Chujio put the food box into her storage ring and threw it on the table with 500 upper-grade spirit stones. This is for you. After saying that, Yun Chujio hopped away. This fellow couldn't wait to go back and feast. Steward Li looked at Yun Chujio's back with a dumbfounded expression and then looked at the spirit stones on the table. She gave 500 upper-grade spirit stones as a reward? Didn't they say that this 9th young miss was the most stingy? Didn't they say that she was the most greedy? It seemed that it was true that rumors couldn't be heard. This 9th young miss wasn't as useless as Dian Chui said, and she looked completely different from the other 3 young misses. At this moment Lu Yi also woke up. She saw that she was still lying on the ground, but there was no one beside her. She was so angry that she almost fainted again. After she got up, she gritted her teeth and stomped her feet, then went straight to Yin Xinlian's courtyard. Yin Xinlian's courtyard had a maid arranged by the palace mistress, Xilan. She was currently serving Yin Xinlian dinner when she heard a knock on the door and walked out. Xilan was shocked when she saw Lu Yi's miserable state. Lu Yi, how did your face become like this? Lu Yi scolded angrily. It's all because of that Yun Chujio. I only said a few words and she used a knife to destroy my face. Xilan, help me make a report. I want to see Miss Yin. Xilan said with some embarrassment. Miss Yin is having dinner. It's not appropriate to report now. Why don't you go back first? I'll tell Miss Yin after dinner. If she's willing to see you, you can come over. At this moment Yin Xinlian said in the room, let her in. Lu Yi quickly followed Xilan into the courtyard and knelt down to Yin Xinlian. Miss Yin, I know you're the kindest. You must save me. Otherwise my appearance will be ruined. Yin Xinlian showed a worried expression. Lu Yi, how did you become like this? Who ruined your appearance? It was that bitch Yun Chujio. Lu Yi told her about the incident at the canteen. Of course she hid her extreme words and blamed Yun Chujio. Chapter 1225 Aunt Zhang treats me very well, Miss Yin. Please reward me with a muscle revitalization pill. I will definitely repay you well in the future, Lu Yi pleaded after she finished telling her story. Lu Yi waited anxiously for Yin Xinlian's reply. The skin on her face was very delicate. If an ordinary muscle revitalization pill was used, it would definitely leave a small scar. Only by using the muscle revitalization pill would it recover to its original state. And the muscle revitalization pill was a grade 10 pill. A mere servant girl like her could not afford it. Yin Xinlian looked at Lu Yi sympathetically. Looks are extremely important to a girl. That Yun Chujio is really too much. I happen to have a muscle revitalization pill on me that I can give to you, but are you going to swallow it just like that? Lu Yi gnashed her teeth and said, of course I'm not willing, but no matter how useless that Yun Chujio is, she's still the wife's old friend's daughter. What can a mere maid like me do? That's not true. The wife is very displeased with Yun Chujio. Why don't you go and cry to the wife tomorrow morning? The wife will definitely make a decision for you. Perhaps the wife will give you the flawless rejuvenation pill. If she doesn't give it to you, I'll give it to you. Anyway, you'll have to apply the flawless rejuvenation pill on your injury within 3 days so that there won't be any scars. Yin Xinlian put herself in Lu Yi's shoes. Upon hearing Yin Xinlian's words, Lu Yi gratefully said, thank you, Miss Yin. Lu Yi will never forget your great kindness. I will definitely repay you properly. Yin Xinlian gently said, I just don't like how Yun Chujio has humiliated you. There's no need to take it to heart. You should go back and rest first. Tomorrow morning you should go and complain to the palace mistress. I believe that the palace mistress will definitely make a decision for you. Lu Yi left with tears of gratitude. Xinlian sneered. What an idiot. However, she could use her to make the palace master's wife have a worse impression of Yun Chujio. On the first day of coming to the Temple of Immortals, she actually disfigured a maid. Yun Chujio. You're really bold. You're courting death. The palace master's wife was the most protective. Yun Chujio disfigured her maid, so she definitely wouldn't let Yun Chujio off. When the time came, she would fan the flames again. Perhaps the palace master's wife would chase Yun Chujio out of the Temple of Immortals. If she arranged for the Yin family's secret guards to intercept Yun Chujio on the way, Yun Chujio would definitely die. When Xinlian thought of this, a sinister smile appeared on her face. Shilon, who was at the side, happened to catch a glimpse of it and could not help but shiver. Miss Yin usually looked very gentle and generous, but this look was really too frightening. At this moment, Yun Chujio had already returned to the courtyard. She opened the food box and began to eat happily. Just after dinner, the sound transmission talisman started to vibrate. Di Baiming's voice came from inside. Little Jiu, I thought that I could accompany you properly. I didn't expect that I would have to go back for at least 10 days. If my mother makes things difficult for you, send a message to me and I will take care of it. Prince Charming, don't worry. Auntie's very good to me. The courtyard that she arranged for me is really good. It's simply too considerate. On the other end, Di Baiming kept feeling that Yun Chujio's words were somewhat out of place. His mother would arrange a courtyard for little Jiu? It was unlikely, right? Oh right, Prince Charming, I made a small sum of money on the spaceship. Let me tell you, Yun Chujio blabbered on about how she earned 450,000 high-grade spirit stones. The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched violently. Someone as thick-skinned as little Jiu could be considered unprecedented. However, his mother had suffered such a huge loss, she probably wouldn't stop. Yun Chujio suddenly stopped and looked at the palace mistress with an aggrieved expression. Aunt, little Jiu has missed you so much. Why are you so cold to me? It's really too heartbreaking. The palace master's wife regained her senses and angrily shouted, Don't give me that trick. Sit back. Yun Chujio pursed her lips and took a few steps back as she said aggrievedly, Aunt, we haven't seen each other for just over a month and you already don't dote on little Jiu? Don't flatter me. Let me ask you, why did you beat up Lu Yi yesterday? I guess like you actually beat up the master's maid. You really don't have any rules. The palace master's wife sternly shouted. She did not hide her disgust and dissatisfaction towards Yun Chujio at all. Xinlian's heart rejoiced. The palace master's wife really did not like Yun Chujio. As long as I add fuel to the fire, Yun Chujio would definitely be driven out of the Palace of Immortals. Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yen had the mentality of watching a show. They did not hate Yun Chujio as much as Xinlian did. They felt that she was just a little girl with no background and was not a threat to them at all. Chapter 1227 I feel so wronged. Lu Yi, who was kneeling on the ground, was naturally filled with joy. She deserved it. You, a country bumpkin, actually dared to ruin my looks. Just wait to be punished. Just as Lu Yi was feeling pleased with herself, she never expected that Yun Chujio would suddenly give her a kick. Even in her dreams, the miserable Lu Yi would never have imagined that Yun Chujio would actually dare to beat her in front of the Hall Master's wife. She was directly kicked out of the living room. She directly crashed onto the green stone slab outside. Fortunately, she was a person with spiritual power. If this was an ordinary person, they would definitely fall to their deaths. Everyone in the room was stunned. To start a fight without a word, this was too intrepid. Moreover, what kind of place was this? If you did this, wouldn't you be slapping the Hall Master's wife's face? Don't you think about it? The Hall Master's wife's face was ashen. Just as she was about to fly into a rage, she saw Yun Chujio point at Lu Yi and curse, You audacious slave. You woke up my aunt early in the morning because of your trivial matter. Don't you know how important beauty sleep is to a woman? My aunt provides you with food and clothes, and you actually harbor such evil intentions. You ungrateful wretch. Weren't you the one who asked me for a reward yesterday? What's wrong with me giving you 2 Lu Yi? You still have the face to complain to my aunt. How shameless. Besides, my aunt said that she would treat me as her own daughter from now on. The Temple of Immortals is naturally my home. As the master, what's the big deal about me teaching you a lesson as a maid? You actually want to sow discord between me and my Aunt Pui. Would someone as wise as my aunt listen to your slander? Lu Yi was already severely injured. After being scolded by Yun Chujio, she was instantly dumbfounded and couldn't say a word. And actually yesterday Wu-Wu, I suffered a great grievance. I was afraid that you would be worried, so I endured it and didn't say anything. I didn't expect this little bitch trash to actually bite me back. This is really a slave bullying its master. Auntie, you must help me make a decision. I was so wrong that I did not sleep the entire night. In the morning I was so angry that I fainted. Manager Luo woke me up only after shouting for a long time. Manager Luo's eyes were fixed on the ground. I did not hear anything. The palace master's wife was stunned by Yun Chujio's words. She actually did not know what to say, saying that she did not follow the rules and beat up the master's maid? That little shameless person said those words. If I were to say that again, she would definitely say that I broke some promise to treat her as my own daughter. Yes, if she treated the Temple of Immortals as her own home, there was nothing wrong with the master teaching the maid a lesson. Just as the palace mistress was in a difficult position. She heard Yin Xinlian say, Junior Yun, although you don't treat yourself as a guest, this Lu Yi girl's appearance has been ruined by you. What will you do in the future? She only offended you with her words. Aren't you being too cruel? Yun Chujio looked deeply at Yin Xinlian. Yin Xinlian felt goosebumps and her body tensed up. Did Yun Chujio want to fight with her? Although she wasn't afraid of her, she couldn't kill her in front of the palace master's wife. However, she could teach her a lesson. Yin Xinlian sighed. No wonder young Master Wuji said that your Yin sisters are shameless. Today I have finally seen it for myself. This is a family matter of our Hall of Longevity. What is a guest like you talking about? Could it be that this Lu Yi has some secret deal with you? Alright, yesterday this Lu Yi praised you. She even said that Senior Qin and Senior Bai Li are not as good as you. Could it be that this is a spy arranged by your Yin clan in the Hall of Longevity? Are you planning to stir up trouble in the Temple of Immortals, and then your Yin clan will wait for an opportunity to make a move? Moreover, my aunt hasn't said anything yet. What right do you have to say anything? Do you think that you're in the Yin clan now? She knew that she would not be able to escape punishment, but what about her appearance? Hence, she shouted at Yin Xinlian with all her might, Miss Yin, I have done everything according to your instructions. You promised me that you would give me the flawless muscle regeneration pill. Quickly give it to me. Yin Xinlian wished that she could slap her to death. A trash who was a burden to her and she still wanted the pill? It was simply wishful thinking, so Yin Xinlian kept silent as if she hadn't heard anything. Lu Yi looked at Yin Xinlian in disbelief. Miss Yin, if it wasn't for your idea I wouldn't have come to report to the palace master's wife, and I wouldn't have ended up like this. You're actually so heartless. Yin Xinlian looked at her viciously and thought to herself, since everyone already knew what had happened, why would I be afraid of you blackmailing me? If you want the pills, dream on. Lu Yi was taken away by Manager Luo's men. Yun Chujio said with a cheeky smile, Aunt, I knew you were the most observant. Well, I haven't had breakfast yet. Do you have anything delicious to give me? Only those who were close to her would raise their noses and look at her. That was because they did not treat her as an outsider, they would usually be polite to outsiders. Yin Xinlian's hands were tightly clenched under her sleeves. Slut, even if you are not chased out of the longevity hall, I will still take your life in the life and death arena in a month's time. The palace mistress was so angry at Yun Chujio that she only ate a little before saying that she was tired. She told them to continue and left immediately. When Yun Chujio saw that the palace mistress had left, she sat there calmly and continued to eat. She was not affected at all. Qin Mingzhu and Bai Liyan looked at each other. Although the two of them were not on good terms with each other, They had not fallen out yet. Therefore the two of them went to admire the flowers together. Only Yun Chujio and Yin Xinlian were left in the pavilion. Yin Xinlian said fiercely, "Yun Chujio, don't be complacent. The life and death arena in a month's time will be your death date. Get lost. Can't you see that I'm eating? It's so annoying to be buzzing like a fly." Yun Chujio said with disdain. Yin Xinlian tried her best not to attack Yun Chujio. The palace master's wife was already displeased with her. If she attacked Yun Chujio again, she would be falling into Yun Chujio's trap. To be more precise, it was very happy to be attacked by the ninth miss. Manager Lua was shocked by her strange thoughts. Emma, could it be that the palace mistress likes to be abused? She must be thinking too much. Yin Xinlian walked towards the courtyard with a heavy face. On the way she met a pretty maid. "Greetings, Miss Yin." "Oh, it's Miss Dian Cui. Coincidentally, I brought some trinkets with me this time. If you have time, come to my place and help me distribute the things to everyone. It's not worth much. It's just a token of my appreciation." Yin Xinlian smiled. Dian Cui was one of the 4 personal handmaidens of the palace master's wife. She was quite liked by the palace master's wife, so it was very necessary to have a good relationship with her. Dianxia's heart moved. Although it was not very good to go to Miss Yin's courtyard at this time, in order to get rid of that Yun Chujio she had to take risks. Hence she nodded. "Miss Yin is really courteous. Every time you come you will give us servants things. I've made you spend so much money." Yin Xinlian said a few polite words and brought Dian Cui back to her courtyard. Chapter 1231. Using each other, the two of them arrived at Yin Xinlian's courtyard. After chatting for a while, Yin Xinlian found a catalyst to send Shilon out. "Miss Dian Cui, I'm really full of grievances. I just can't stand Yun Chujio's overbearing way of doing things. I didn't expect her to make the palace master's wife dislike me with just a few words." Sigh. Yin Xinlian sighed and said, "Miss Yin, you don't have to be sad. The palace master's wife is just unable to change the situation for the time being. She might forget about this matter in a few days." The key point was that Yun Chujio was really detestable. She was just an old country bumpkin from the Qingxian continent, yet she actually turned the tables and acted arrogantly in the Palace of Immortals. Dian Cui said through gritted teeth. Yin Xinlian's heart stirred. How could this Dian Cui be so resentful towards Yun Chujio? It was probably because the palace master's wife had always been good to her, so she felt that Yun Chujio had been taken care of by the palace master's wife, so she was not convinced. It seemed that this Dian Cui could be used. She was much more useful than Lu Yi. "Miss Dian Cui, actually there are some things that I shouldn't have said, but since we hit it off, I'll only tell you. It's fine if you hear it." "Miss Yin, just say it. Don't worry, I definitely won't reveal it to anyone." The palace master's wife is really too kind-hearted. Does a daughter of an old friend need to be taken care of like this? Moreover, she's too indulgent. Last time when the palace master's wife went to the Tianyuan Academy, not only was Yun Chujio extorting 1 million upper-grade spirit stones, she also extorted a lot of spirit tools. Now she had also indulged her in beating up the palace maids of the Hall of Immortals. "I reckon that Yun Chujio has forgotten her identity," Yin Xinlian said with a face full of anger. Yun Chujio, Dian Cui almost revealed Yun Chujio's true identity, but she still swallowed it back. If the palace lord's wife knew that she had leaked the secret, she would definitely not let her off. Thus, she continued, "She is indeed too arrogant. Such a person should be taught a lesson. Miss Yin, I can see that she has gone against you many times. With your identity, wouldn't it be easy for you to deal with her? Why haven't you taken care of her?" Yin Xilian sighed. "Of course, it's because of the palace master's wife's face. Otherwise, I would have taken care of her long ago. Miss Dian Cui, Yun Chujio is extremely greedy. Who knows, she might do something. You are the palace master's wife's favorite. You must be careful. Don't be tricked by her." "Tricked me? She better not provoke me. Otherwise, I'm not as easy to deal with as Lu Yi," Dian Cui said disdainfully. Yin Xinlian saw that it was almost time to sow discord, so she said, "Miss Dian Cui, The food and food you eat in the Hall of Eternal Life are all top quality. I have nothing to give you. This 50,000 high-grade spirit stones can be considered as a small gift from me. Dian Cui pretended to decline a few sentences, but she still accepted the spirit stones. She had accepted quite a lot in the past, so she felt that it was only natural. After all, she was favored by the lady of the palace master, so it was very useful for her to put in a good word for her. Dian Cui walked out of the courtyard and couldn't help but sneer. Was Qin Mingzhu planning to use someone else to kill her? Did she really think that she was stupid? However, when she thought of Di Baiming's deep affection for Yun Chujio, the jealousy in her heart spread like weeds. Her esteemed self had always been cold and aloof, but ever since she met this Yun Chujio she had become different from before. How could a little trash from the azure mystic continent obtain her esteemed self's deep love? She was not worthy at all. She knew that with her status she was not worthy of her esteemed self. However, before her esteemed self met Yun Chujio, he had no intention of getting married. She was the closest woman to her esteemed self. As long as she watched silently and loved him silently, she would be satisfied. However, after having Yun Chujio, her esteemed self no longer belonged to her. Therefore Yun Chujio had to die. In Xinlian, you want to use me? Let's see who will use who. Chapter 1232 Xiao Jiu picks the spirit fruit. On this day, Qin Mingzhu and the other two invited Yun Chujio to take a walk in the garden. Although Yun Chujio was not interested, she could not refuse. She followed the three of them to stroll around the garden in low spirits. She thought to herself, what's so good about this lousy garden? If only there were fruit trees, at least there would be fruits to eat. After the four of them strolled around for a while, Yin Xinlian brought them to a pavilion at the side to sit for a while. Then they arrived at the pavilion. As soon as the four of them sat down, Dian Cui brought two maids over with snacks. After a while, Dian Cui said, for young ladies, although this garden is not bad, it will be a little boring after a long time. Why don't I bring you to the spirit fruit forest to stroll around? There are many spirit fruits that have already matured there. Yin Xinlian immediately echoed, spirit fruit forest? I've long heard that the Temple of Immortals has a spirit fruit forest, but I've never been there. There's no harm in taking a look. Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan also nodded in agreement. They also felt that there was nothing interesting these few days. Otherwise, Yin Xinlian would not have suggested to go to the garden and followed them. Can you pick the spirit fruits there? Yun Chujio's concern was always different from others. Dian Cui smiled. Of course. The four of you are all distinguished guests of the Temple of Immortals. Of course you can pick a few spiritual fruits. Hearing that, Yun Chujio immediately beamed. Then let's go. I like eating spiritual fruits the most. Four young ladies, please follow me. Dian Cui turned around and signaled the four of them to follow her. A trace of viciousness flashed in her eyes. The spirit fruit forest was located at the northwest corner of the rear hall of the Temple of Immortals. It took them more than an hour to arrive at the spirit fruit forest. From afar they could smell the fragrance of the spirit fruit. Yun Chujio took the lead and rushed to the front. Damn, there was such a good place. No wonder the pretty boy always had spirit fruits in his storage ring. It turned out that the Temple of Immortals had such a large spirit fruit forest. This guy didn't stand on ceremony either. He picked a red fruit and began to eat it with a simple rub. Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan looked at each other. This Yun Chujio was really a foodie. He didn't pose any threat to them at all. Dian Cui smiled and said, the three young ladies, you can also choose the spirit fruits that you like to eat and have a taste. Don't stand on ceremony. Qin Mingzhu and the other two picked one as a token and ate it. Yun Chujio was much more shameless than them. As she ate, she put it into her storage ring. Ladies, there are 7-star fruits here. The taste is very fresh and sweet. Follow me. Dian Cui gestured for everyone to follow her. After many twists and turns, they indeed found a few spiritual fruit trees with golden fruits. The golden fruits on the trees emitted a sweet fragrance and were very tempting. Next to these fruit trees was a barren land with weeds growing everywhere. Yun Chujio picked a 7-star fruit and started to eat it. Her eyes immediately lit up and she began to shamelessly put the 7-star fruits into her storage ring. This was the first time she had seen this thing and it tasted really good. He had to decorate it more. Miss Jiu, the 7-star fruit on the branch here is yellow and big. Come and pick it. Dian Cui pointed at a fruit tree next to her. Yun Chujio looked up and sure enough, the 7-star fruit on the tree was yellow and big. She immediately began to pick the fruit under the tree happily. When Yun Chujio was tiptoeing to pick the fruit, Dian Cui exclaimed and bumped into Yun Chujio. Although Yun Chujio was not knocked down, she stepped on the barren land with one foot. Chapter 1233. I forget food. Yun Chujio felt a huge suction force and a thought flashed through her mind. People die for money, she dies for food. She was still too careless. Although she knew that Dian Cui and Yin Xinlian did not have good intentions, she did not expect that there was something strange in this desolate land. Qin Mingzhu and the others only felt a white light flash and Yun Chujio disappeared. At this time Dian Cui said anxiously, Miss Yin, why did you bump into me? This is great. Miss Jiu accidentally entered the forbidden land. I'm afraid that her life is in danger. Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan naturally did not worry about Yun Chujio's life or death. Instead they focused on what Dian Cui said. This must be Yin Xinlian wanting to take revenge on Yun Chujio, so she pushed Dian Cui and then Dian Cui bumped into Yun Chujio. It was too vicious. Dian Cui, don't slander me. Although I'm standing very close to you, I didn't touch you at all. Yin Xinlian never thought that Dian Cui would actually bite back and push the blame on her. She thought that she was the one who used her, but she didn't expect to be used by her instead. What a cunning bitch. Dian Cui looked aggrieved. Miss Yin, there is a right and wrong judgment. I have to report this to the palace master's wife quickly. Otherwise, 9th Miss Life will be in danger. Dian Cui left in a hurry after saying this. Madam, something bad has happened. 9th Miss entered the forbidden area by mistake. Dian Cui reported to the palace master's wife with a sobbing voice. The palace master's wife was leaning back on the recliner and drinking tea. When she heard the news, the teacup in her hand instantly fell to the ground and she grabbed Dian Xi by the neck. What did you say? The palace master's wife's spiritual power was superb and Dian Cui was almost strangled to death. Manager Luo hurriedly said, Madam, quickly stop. If you don't stop, Dian Cui will be strangled to death by you. Only then did the palace mistress let go and stared coldly at Dian Cui. What on earth is going on? Dian Cui coughed for a long time, only then did she say, the 4 young ladies were bored in the garden, so this servant brought them to the spirit fruit forest. While picking the 7-star fruit, Miss Yin bumped into me. I couldn't stand properly for a moment, so I bumped into the 9th young lady. Then the 9th young lady stepped into the forbidden area. The palace master's wife slapped her back and Dian Cui immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. She looked at the palace master's wife in disbelief. Madam, it was really Miss Yin who bumped into me. I didn't mean it. Bitch. You clearly knew that the 7 stars fruit tree was close to the forbidden area, so why didn't you warn them? If it wasn't for your intentional misdirection, would they have found the 7 stars fruit tree in the deepest part of the forest? Don't think that I don't know about your dirty thoughts. I originally wanted to give you a chance to change, but I didn't expect you to be so vicious. Manager Luo, take her to the death row and let her confront Yin Xinlian. The palace mistress was very regretful. She didn't expect Dian Cui to be so vicious, actually bumping the little rascal into the forbidden area. It was over. The little rascal was probably doomed. Bei Ming would hate her for the rest of his life. The palace master's wife dealt with Dian Cui and brought Manager Luo to the spirit fruit forest in a hurry. Yin Xinlian saw the palace master's wife's gloomy expression and hurriedly said, Palace master's wife, I really didn't bump into Dian Cui. I dare to swear in my heart demon that I really didn't bump into her. The palace master's wife looked at her coldly. You didn't bump into her, but little Nine's girl accidentally entered the forbidden area. It must be related to you. Miss Yin, from today onwards the Temple of Immortals does not welcome you. Moreover, you hurt my people on my Temple of Immortals territory. I will seek justice from the Yin family for this. Chapter 1234 Forbidden Area of the Temple of Immortals. Yin Xinlian's mind went blank. She had never thought that the palace master's wife would think so highly of Yun Chujio. Since the palace master's wife had already said such harsh words, It was impossible for her to marry into the Temple of Immortals again. However, the fact that the palace master's wife was so angry also meant that Yunchuju was dead for sure. No matter what, she had achieved her goal. As for the palace lord's wife, she would just have to think of a way to please her in the future. There were no eternal enemies, only eternal benefits. The Een family was not easy to bully. The palace lord's wife stood on the edge of the wasteland and let out a long sigh. Although the little rascal was very detestable, she had never thought of taking her life. She did not expect that in the end, it was because of her miscalculation that she had fallen into a dangerous situation. Bei Ming might really not forgive her. Although the hall master's wife blamed herself very much, she had no choice but to let everyone disperse. Of course, Een Xinlian was basically under house arrest. She was not allowed to leave the courtyard at all. Although the hall master's wife was very unwilling, she could only use the voice transmission talisman to tell Di Biming about the matter. After Di Biming received the palace master's wife's message, his mind immediately buzzed. He immediately put down the things he was doing and returned to the Temple of Immortals, heading straight for the Spirit Fruit Forest. After the palace master's wife received the news, she also rushed to the edge of the Spirit Fruit Forest. She saw Di Biming pacing back and forth on the desolate land. However, the strange thing was that nothing like what happened to Yunchuju did not happen. He was not sucked in. The hall master's wife was also stunned. Biming, why is this forbidden land not working? Although Di Biming was dissatisfied with the hall master's wife, he still said, I don't know what happened either. Originally, I wanted to enter the forbidden land to save little Jiu, but I realized that I can't go in. Biming, this is mother's negligence. It's mother's fault. Een Xinlian and Dian Chui are both locked up by me. If you want to do anything, just do it. Mother won't stop you. The hall master's wife said in a panic. Di Biming knew that the palace mistress didn't want to kill Yunchuju, but even so he was still dissatisfied. He said indifferently, let's first confirm little Jiu's safety. Sooner or later I will destroy the Een family. The palace mistress felt that Yunchuju wouldn't survive, but she still comforted. Little Jiu has always been blessed with a great life. Moreover, she has many tricks up her sleeve. She will definitely be safe. Otherwise, this forbidden area wouldn't have failed. Although Di Biming knew that the palace master's wife was comforting him, he also felt that little Jiu would be fine. After all, little Jiu had encountered this kind of danger many times in the past, and in the end she had met with misfortune. This time she would definitely be able to do it. Biming, your father will soon come out of seclusion. At that time perhaps he will have some way to save little Jiu. Don't be too sad. The palace master's wife saw that Di Biming did not blame her loudly, she did not overdo it. On the contrary, she was even more worried. This silly boy must not be too stubborn. Di Biming nodded lightly. Take good care of Een Xinlian. Little Jiu will find her when she comes out. No matter how she looked at it, the palace master's wife felt that Di Biming's behavior was a little strange. She could only secretly instruct an Een to take good care of Di Biming and not ask him to do anything stupid. An Een secretly felt that their revered lord would not do anything stupid. This was because he was already numb from being scared by the ninth miss. The ninth miss would encounter such a thing once in a while. But what exactly was going on in this forbidden land? Chapter 1235, Barren Land. At this moment Yunchuju was grilling meat. Ever since she was sucked in 3 days ago, Yunchuju had been looking for a way out but to no avail. This fellow thought about it for a moment. He had underestimated his enemy too much. He felt that a little handmaiden would not be able to turn the situation around. He did not expect to be tricked. Dian Chui had previously spread some unfavorable remarks against her, so she should be wary of her. She had to learn from her mistakes in the future. It might be too smooth sailing recently, so her vigilance had also become lower. When Yunchuju first came in, she was completely dumbfounded. She felt as if she was in an egg. The edges were very low and only the middle part was slightly higher. However, it was only slightly higher than Yunchuju's height. This was a barren land where not a single blade of grass grew. There was no sun in the sky, no moon and no stars, so there was no so-called day and night. It was always dark. Although this place was not completely dark, the progress was very slow. Fortunately, Yun Chujio had the luminous pearl, so it did not affect the lighting. There were only broken stones on the ground. There was not a single living thing. Yun Chujio thought to herself that it was fortunate that there was still air here, or else she would really die. She did not know why the Temple of Immortals had such a forbidden place. Moreover, shouldn't there be a sign on the forbidden place? How could there be no sign at all? If there was a sign, she would not have been tricked by Dian Cui. She did not know that there was a sign on the forbidden area. It was a big rock with the words forbidden area written on it. However, Dian Cui had covered it up with some wild grass and Yun Chujio's attention was on the 7-star fruit, therefore she did not see it at all. It was really strange. Normally, the Forbidden Land was either locked up with a person or a demon beast. Why was the Forbidden Land here completely bare? Wasn't it a waste of time? It was simply a waste of land. It would be better to plant a few more spirit fruit trees. Hey, is anyone out of breath? Come out and have a chat. I have delicious food here. Aren't you hungry? Hurry up and come out. Maybe I can save you. Yun Chujio shouted for a long time, but there was no response. She could only continue to grill the meat and fill her stomach first. The gigolo knew that she was trapped here and would definitely think of a way. After a few days, Yun Chujio still did not meet any living creatures. The place was dead silent. If it were an ordinary person, they would definitely go crazy. However, Yun Chujio's mental fortitude was very good. She did not think much of it. However, there was one time when she wanted to release Xiao Hanyo and the others to relieve her boredom. She was surprised to find that Xiao Hanyo and the others looked like they were going to die as soon as they were released. She quickly put them away. Master, you almost killed us. What the hell is outside? It's suffocating. Xiao Hanyo complained. Suffocating? I don't feel anything wrong with it. I feel the same as the outside and I feel quite comfortable. Yun Chujio said in confusion. Xiao Hanyo and the other two looked at each other. All right, their black-hearted master was a pervert. The pressure outside was so scary that only their perverted master could not feel it. At that moment, Di Baiming was asking Di Linhan, who had just come out of seclusion. Father, what exactly is going on in that forbidden area? Since young, you have warned me not to go near it. What exactly is locked up there? Is there any way to save little Jiao? Chapter 1236. Qi of Hundun. Di Linhan listened to Di Baiming recount what had happened. He could not help but glare at the lady of the palace hall. Nonsense. Since you know that Dian Cui is restless, why don't you just deal with her? If you deal with her decisively, will there be anything that will happen in the future? The lady of the palace hall was like a little daughter-in-law who had been bullied. Husband, this time it was really my fault. I did not think that a little Dian Cui would be able to cause such a big mess. You should quickly think of a way to save the little rascal. Di Linhan stared helplessly at the palace lord's wife. Then he sighed. That forbidden area has been there ever since the Temple of Immortals had set up our faction. The successive palace lords have always warned the next palace lord that he must not enter that forbidden area. Once he enters, he will definitely die. Father, what exactly is inside that place? Is it that scary? Di Baiming asked anxiously. Di Linhan let out a long sigh. There is no demon beast locked in there. What is sealed in there is the Qi of Hundun. Qi of Hundun. The Qi of Hundun before the heavens and earth were opened? Di Baiming asked in surprise. That's right, once a cultivator enters, they will not be able to withstand the immense pressure inside. And naturally they will not be able to survive. Di Baiming's mind buzzed. He had not been particularly worried at first. After all, the little nine ghosts had many ideas. But this time he was afraid that the odds were against him. Di Baiming forced himself to calm down. He then asked, Father, then why is the forbidden area suddenly closed and I cannot enter? This is also the first time I have encountered such a situation. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be like this. Perhaps the little girl has had some fortuitous encounter? Di Linhan guessed. The palace mistress hurriedly said from the side. Right, the little lass is very clever. Who knows, she might really have had a fortuitous encounter. Di Linhan glared at her. Stop right there, it's all your fault. The palace mistress shrank her neck, not daring to make a sound. Father, is this Qi of Hundun related to our Hall of Immortals? Di Baiming didn't know why, but he suddenly thought of this question. This father doesn't know. It's just that ever since the lifelong Saint Hall came into existence, this forbidden ground has always existed. It's hard to say whether our ancestors of the D clan were there to protect this chi of Hundan, or to guard this chi of Hundan. There's a certain fate in the dark. The little lass will definitely be fine. If it wasn't for the fact that there's something strange, the forbidden ground wouldn't have suddenly closed. Di Linhan consoled. He was also afraid that Di Baiming would resent the palace lord's wife because of this. Father, can I inform my master about this? Let's see if the old man has any way to save little Jiao. Di Linhan was silent for a moment, and looked at the pleading faces of Di Baiming and his wife. He gritted his teeth and said, "This. Forget it. The old man of the Heaven Lake is also a mighty figure who lives in the hearts of the people. I believe that he will keep this a secret. You can ask." Di Baiming immediately sent a voice transmission talisman to the old man of the Heaven Lake, and the old man of the Heaven Lake quickly replied, "The array formation that can seal off the chi of Hundan, this old man is also powerless. However, since the array formation of the Forbidden Land was suddenly shut off, it must be because the little girl hasn't died yet. Or it must be another fortuitous encounter. It's better to wait and see. Moreover, the little girl isn't even afraid of the pressure of the heavenly lightning. Perhaps she can withstand the pressure of Hundan's chi. Don't be too worried." When Di Baiming heard his master say this, his heart became even more worried. Although little Nine had overcome countless difficulties, this time it was even more difficult than before. Moreover, he couldn't help at all. Could she endure it? Chapter 1237. The black bead. Yun Chujio counted with her fingers. She had been trapped here for 10 days. Although she did not have to worry about food and drink, it was not a problem to continue like this. She had to think of a way. However, she had used all the methods she could think of. Even cursing the Tiandao was useless. How could she get out? Yun Chujio finally decided to dig a hole. She felt that since she had nothing to do, she might be able to get out of the underground. Therefore, the guy took the pickaxe and began to dig. After digging a few feet deep, a layer of soil began to appear below, but there were still no signs of life inside. Yun Chujio could not help but complain, "Damn it. Was this the time when Hundan had yet to open? There was no sun or moon and the sky was so close to the earth. Most importantly, there was not a single living thing. Could it be that I had traveled to the air of Wonton? Haha." The guy clapped his hands. "Haha, then wouldn't I become Pangu? Let me think about it. How did the legends say that Pangu created the world? Whatever, I'll try to see if the kitchen knife can separate the sky and the earth." Yun Chujio held the kitchen knife and cut the edge of the egg. After a few cuts, the edge of the egg really began to rise slowly. Yun Chujio was delighted. There was a door. Hence, this fellow brandished the large kitchen knife and slashed at the egg. The surrounding of the egg gradually rose up. Yun Chujio felt a sense of accomplishment, but it was useless. It was just that the space was a little more spacious. Yun Chujio tried to get the little black bird to come out, but the little black bird was still unable to withstand the pressure from the outside. Xiao Hanyo could not withstand the pressure. Yun Chujio continued to dig the pit. This fellow thought to himself, "Everyone says that the earth is round, but this Tianyuan continent might also be round. As long as I keep digging, I will definitely be able to dig through it." After digging for 10 days, Yun Chujio did not find anything, let alone where it led to. Just when this fellow was feeling a little discouraged, the black bead flew out from between Yun Chujio's brows and floated in the air. A vortex formed around the black bead, and the gas inside the egg began to rush into the black bead. Yun Chujio was stunned for a moment before she could not help but shout, "Glass ball. If you suck all the air into your body, how am I supposed to breathe? If I die, who will provide you with the power of lightning? You idiot, why aren't you stopping?" The black bead completely ignored her and continued to suck the air into her body. Yun Chujio was so angry that she went to grab the black bead. However, the black bead was very agile and Yun Chujio couldn't grab it at all. Yun Chujio was so angry that she cursed loudly, "Glass ball. You bastard. You idiot." All you did was eat and eat all day. You didn't do a single good thing. Now you want to cut off my path of survival. If I catch you, I will definitely teach you a lesson. Just you wait. If I can get out of here, I will throw you into the spirit beast house of the Tianyuan Academy and suffocate you to death. The black bead trembled. No one knew if it was out of anger or fear, but it continued to absorb the gas. Yun Chujio soon discovered a problem. Although the black bead had been absorbing the gas. However, she did not feel any difficulty in breathing. Could it be that the black bead had only absorbed a portion of the gas in the air? In order to experiment, Yun Chujio released Xiao Hanyo. Although Xiao Hanyo still felt uncomfortable, it felt much better than before. Only then did Yun Chujio confirm that the black bead must be absorbing something in the air. Since it would not have any negative effects on her, it could absorb it if it wanted to. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.